Welcome back to another FPL deadline stream for Gameweek 19. It's very early on in the Boxing Day. Hopefully not many of you have, any Christmas hangovers, but I wish you all the best. Hopefully you enjoyed Christmas and continue enjoying the rest of the holiday season. It's another deadline. We've got another one in a couple of days' time, so there's a lot to unpack in FPL, a quick turnaround, and that is the Christmas period for you in the Premier League. But I made my transfer that I discussed in the team selection. I bought Trent Alexander-Arnold in for Tsimikas, but it was after the price drop that Tsimikas experienced, so I haven't really played it that way. I was still trying to wait a little bit longer for maybe more information, especially on the likes of Haaland, which could influence my future transfer plans, but I've made the transfer. I needed to make a defensive reinforcement, and I looked at the alternatives. I like Burnham Botman this week, but then they play Liverpool, Man City and Aston Villa back to back, and with the problems I have in my defensive line, with Matty Cash being a terrible FPL asset and Lascelles likely losing a spot as well as being injured right now, I needed to make a transfer. Of course, the other one that I had was Tsimikas, who is probably going to be out for a couple of months. But in terms of the captaincy, you can see that Salah is currently the captain and Son is my vice. Another consideration I'm making, well, two considerations, would be Solanke and Trent. And I think if I had to make a top 5 from those in my team, I think Saka would make it and I think he will deliver against West Ham. But I don't think his ceiling is as high as those I've captained and vice captain. You can see everything on the left hand side, my fully updated points after that 1-pointer and suspension from Cole Palmer against Wolves. So there's a lot to unpack, as I just said. Let's get straight into your questions as always, and thank you very much for helping me reach 22,000 subscribers yesterday. It was a great Christmas gift, so thank you very much for all your support, and let's keep on pushing towards new goals. Venom says, I already have Borro and Trent and Mikalenko, Senesi, Lascelles. Any defender you would suggest for the long run other than Trippier? You don't have an Arsenal defender, and for me, they have the best defence. So I think Saliba, as a long-term option until the end of the season, if he can stay fit, that would be my pick. If you want someone for the next month or so, and you're happy to have maybe a shorter-term transfer, then I'd say Zinchenko is a very good choice too. You can't go wrong with Ben White, in my opinion, at this moment in time, or Gabriel. But I think the way I'd rank the Arsenal defenders is Saliba first, Zinchenko second, Gabriel third, and White fourth. Rockler says, I've got work today. I start at 10, I leave the house at 8:40. Okay, well, hopefully you've got everything sorted then. It's a pretty good team as well. My captain, Solanke. Good luck, Roll Killer. All the best. Rowan says, Flecken or Leno? Tricky one. I'm not going to lie to you. Tricky. Leno, I mean, where do we even begin with this guy? Because we all expected him to do quite well against Burnley, and Fulham were the favourites, but they lost 2-0 at home, and that's a massive result there for Vincent Kompany. But I look at the fixtures this week, and you know what? With the form that Bournemouth are in, it's tricky seeing Fulham keeping a clean sheet there. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really anticipate Brentford keeping a clean sheet either, but I think in this context, I would be tempted to start Flecken. I'm not going to lie to you. I think that's what I would do. Hi Dylan, which goalkeeper to start, Raya or Dubravka? Cheers, mate. Thank you, Jovan. I'd go for Dubravka. Newcastle are solid at home. I think they've only conceded 4 goals all season at St James's Park, if I'm not mistaken. And with David Raya, I think he's a solid option home and away, but I think in this context, you'd start Dubravka. If Newcastle had an away game, I'd definitely go for Raya, but of course, that's not the case. So I would stick with a Newcastle shot stopper. Rowan says, Bowen, Colwell, Anderson start too. I'd still go for Bowen. And I'd probably go for Colwell, even though I'm not a big fan of Chelsea defensively. But yeah, I'm just looking at the other alternatives there. Yeah, I mean, look, Anderson away to Chelsea. It wouldn't surprise me if Crystal Palace kept a clean sheet, but my prediction is 1-1, I think. I might alter that before the deadline. I put my predictions in the Discord server, so be sure to tune in. Join the link that's in the description below, and you can put your predictions there, and also there are many other channels within that server, so I'd encourage you to check it out. Hi, mate, do you think Nkuku starts? I do. He is in the thumbnail. Now, I did say he's a skip just before the Wolves game because I want to see him get a consistent run of minutes and starts first. And once that's the case, I'd be very tempted to buy him. But when you have Haaland coming back, Watkins and Solanke, that would be my optimum front three in the forward line. But I think Nkuku comes in 4th place as one of the best forwards if he can stay fit and get a continuous run of minutes. So, yeah, I think he will start in this game. But will he also start in Gameweek 21 and Gameweek 20, especially with the quick turnaround? I'm not so sure. That's where my issue lies. Watkins captain. Look, I can think of worse captaincy options. Watkins has been consistent this season, and it'd be typical after 2 million people captain him, almost 3 million FPL managers. You know, he blanks against Sheffield United, and then he goes away to Man United, and he gets a massive haul. So, yeah, I don't think it's a bad shout. I do prefer the 5 I mentioned from my own team, but it's still a decent option, I think. So let's see what we're on at the moment. So we do have almost 100 people watching already, so thank you very much for all the support. Let's try to rack up the likes and get to over 100, and then we can push on from there. And of course, we're already looking to get towards 23,000 subscribers, one step at a time, of course, but thank you very much. And also, I think I'm going to gift another 10 memberships, as we did in the reaction stream a couple of days ago. And yeah, it's kind of randomly allocated. I click a button, and then 10 viewers who are watching right now will get a membership as a differential on the YouTube channel memberships. And there's also a link in the description below. There's a join button next to my channel logo. So, yeah, you can always join as well. I appreciate that. It really goes a long way to supporting the channel. The same goes for all the patrons. And you know what? I'll probably do a shout out later in this stream. Rami on hotel Wi-Fi. Who to bench out of Borro, Senesi and Bowen? I have Saliba, Trent and Trippier. tricky one. You really wouldn't want to bench any of them this week. I'd still bench Senesi. I think Fulham will score. And even with Borro, I think Brian will also score. But when I'm looking at it, I still think Borro's attacking threat makes up for it. So, yeah, I'd probably bench Senesi. Lascelles will start or nah? I don't think so. And look, if we get like a predicted lineup before the deadline and Lascelles is in it, then I'd probably start him, maybe even over Pedro Borro. But I'm not so sure about that. You've got Fabian Schär, Botman and Dan Burn all available, and they're going to play in those positions. Obviously, Burn typically plays on the left-hand side, but he can also play centre-back, and then you've got Trippier on the right-hand side. I just don't really see Lascelles coming back into that starting 11 on a weekly basis, as we've had over the last couple of months. Welcome, Singh. Good to see you. Andreas, Pedro Borro, Zinchenko, Gusto, Konsa start free bench 2. Tricky one, actually. I'm not going to lie. I think it's fine margins on a lot of these games. Like Arsenal, for example, I think West Ham will score, but I don't see Arsenal conceding many goals or chances. And then you look at Pedro Porro, he's got the attacking potential. If I'm going to start free, I'd probably still go for Zinchenko, Pedro Porro, and I think I'd go for Gusto. Who to put in the wildcard team if you have 5.3 million left for the midfielder spot? It's a good question. There are options, actually, at 5.3 million and below. I think one decent shout is Sarabia. He's not my favourite option, but I think he can deliver from time to time, as he did against Chelsea and Tottenham in recent weeks. So, yeah, I think Sarabia would spring to mind, but I'm not a big fan of them. Thank you, Pranav. Of course, I am reading out messages that are quite late on in the chat, which were done maybe 10 minutes ago. Is this the last game week to use your wildcard? Game week 20. So you've got this week and next game week as well. Welcome, Lager. Singh says, thinking of Tsimikas and Lascelles out for Trent and Saliba. I think that's absolutely fine. I think Saliba is one of the best defenders until the end of the season. Trent is right now the best defender in the game. So yeah, if that doesn't really impact your ability to get Haaland back very soon, I'm all for it. I have no concerns about that whatsoever. I don't think Lascelles will get back into that starting 11. Hey Dylan, I want to remove Darwin for Nkuku and transfer Tsimikas for Gabriel. Yeah, absolutely fine with that. Now, I would probably keep Darwin for this week, and I think he's going to start against Burnley, especially with DS being injured. There's no Jota still. He'll probably be back for Newcastle or the week after in Game Week 21. So, yeah, I think Tsimikas for Gabriel, perfect transfer. I think, you're covering one of the best defences, if not the best in the league, and Gabriel is a solid, dependable option. But yeah, Darwin for Nkuku, I'd probably delay it by one more week. That's what I would recommend. Start Diaby or Richarlison. Now, that's a tricky one. I'd probably go for Richarlison. Start Douglas Luiz or Cunha. Good questions here in the chat. I'd actually go for Douglas Luiz. Now, a lot will depend on penalties, but if Douglas Luiz gets any attacking returns, he's very likely to get in and amongst the bonus points, as we saw against Sheffield United in Game Week 18. Hi, Dylan. Which two to start out of Borro, Saliba and Archer? I think I'd still go for Borro and Saliba. Now, Archer at home to Luton Town looks very favourable, and most of his returns have come at home. But, yeah, Saliba and Borro for me. I have no options left but to start Haaland, as all my bench are in red with Palmer, Cash and Anderson. Would you suggest a -4 for any of them? I personally don't think Haaland will play. We could get an update before the deadline, so it might be worth holding out a little bit more for information. But yeah, I'd be very surprised if Haaland started, so I would take a hit. Palmer is maybe not a season keeper, but he's kind of close to that territory. I think he's game-breaking value at 5.6 million. Yeah, I'd sell Cash personally. I'd just get rid of him. I wish I could sell him, but I always have something else that creeps along with an injury or suspension, so I just can't get rid of the guy. Yeah, cash out, and I'm not sure what defenders you have, but you know the defenders I'm recommending to most people. Trent, Saliba, Pedro Porro, and then there's a few others that spring to mind, like Mikalenko. And yeah, I'd go for that direction. I think there might be another defender I'm kind of forgetting. Yeah, Burn or Botman would be absolutely fine, especially as a Lascelles replacement for some of you looking for it. So yeah, I think I'd sell Cash, even for a -4 hit, because long-term it will pay off, and you could be down to 10 men this week. Thank you, Singh. Should I sell Hwang Hee-chan to a Fulham or Bournemouth midfielder, or Gay to Borro, Zinchenko, Walker? I'd rather do Gay to one of the defenders you mentioned. It might backfire this week because Chelsea are out of sorts and you don't know what you're going to get from them. So Palace could come up with a result, and I think they will. But I'd go for Zinchenko or Borro. I think that's probably the best solution for you. It's got the highest upside as well with the bonus points they get. if you were to bring in Nkuku, who would you sell out of Watkins, Solanke, Alvarez? Might sound crazy with the fixtures coming up, but I'd rather sell Alvarez. Once Haaland and De Bruyne are back, I don't think Alvarez starts week in, week out. So, yeah, I'd rather keep Solanke and Watkins, who are more consistent. You're going to get 90 minutes guaranteed from them every single game week. So, yeah, I'd rather sell Alvarez at this moment in time. Is a back four of Saliba, Gabriel, Borja, Trent worth it? Yes, it is worth it. I actually like that defensive double up for Arsenal. I really do. Now, it might be awkward in some game weeks like now against West Ham, where a lot of us would expect the Hammers to get a goal. But I think long term it pays off. Arsenal keep the most clean sheets. And yeah, you've got Trent and Borja for the attacking potential. Dawson Grealish as a punt in for Parma. He's in good goal scoring form, but I'm still not there yet. I mean, it's a bit like Richarlison potentially, but I'd rather go for Richarlison playing down the middle, who also gets the bulk of the chances. With Grealish, I mean, you could argue it's a purple patch, whatever. He's a good player, but in terms of goals and assists, I don't trust him on a consistent basis. So I'm not quite there yet. -2 for Lascelles or chance it. -2 for Lascelles. I mean, look, it's worth chancing with Lascelles, but if you have no one on your bench at all, it could be a case of being down to 10 men. The same goes for those with Haaland as well. Haaland back in training. So I think the entire Man City squad were in training on certain days during the Club World Cup. But a few days ago, I think it was on Christmas Eve, there were reports that Haaland wasn't in training and he's a doubt for Everton to even be in the squad. So, of course, it's kind of a bit murky. It's a grey area. And I'm still on the lookout. I'm trying to see what a reliable source says in this matter. But my personal opinion is that Haaland won't play and he won't be in the squad against Everton, but he should be back for Game Week 20 or 21. And I'm kind of hoping it's the latter, because if he's back for Game Week 20, it would mean taking the likes of Salah out for a -4 hit. Jesus captain, I wouldn't go that far. I think Jesus is a quality player. In the Champions League in UCL Fantasy, I'd be very tempted to captain him, but not in FPL, in my opinion. Will Darwin start? I'm very certain of it. You know, Diaz is injured. And Darwin was benched against Arsenal. So it makes sense for him to start here. Hi, will Powell start? It all depends on his fitness. I personally think he'll be available, and maybe they didn't want to rush him back for Sheffield United, and there was not really a need to. They still ended up dropping points, but I think he'll be available for Man United and start. It all depends, though, on the injury and how that develops. Thank you, Ashish. Shadow says Archer, Pedro Porro, and Trippier bench 1. I'd bench Archer. He's got a good fixture on paper, but Luton Town have been good recently. I am predicting a narrow win for Sheffield United. I think it's going to be a close game either way. I don't see many goals, and of course I could be wrong. They do have bad defences over the course of the season, but they have improved in recent weeks. Trippier to Dan Burn. I wouldn't sell Trippier this week, unless you're doing Trippier to Dan Burn, and then that allows you to get Trent in another position or something like that. I don't think it's worth it. Just keep Trippier for now. You can always downgrade to Dan Burn in the coming weeks, especially if Trippier's form doesn't improve. I'm in a -4 a bit early in the morning. Yeah, no worries, no worries. Sometimes people say that -2 thing because, I don't know, I'm not even going to try and explain. Maybe my head's all over the place. But yeah, it depends which defender you bring in. If it's a Trent, I think the -4 hit is justified even this week. But yeah, it all depends. I think with Lascelles, I'm personally looking at it and I don't think he'll start. And I don't think he'll be back in the team anytime soon. Will you sell Palmer? No. I just don't really see a need to, because around his price, yeah, you've got Gordon. Another midfielder I like a lot is Pascal Gross, but I don't really think it's worth it. I mean, if I could do a free transfer, Palmer to Gordon looks great this week because he faces Nottingham Forest at home. He's one of the players I'm kind of, maybe not scared, but I'm a bit worried about. I'm concerned about Gordon. I think he'll return, and I don't have him in my team. So, yeah, with Palmer, I think he's just a long hold for now. Up until the fixtures start to get difficult for Chelsea again around February or March. Who's the best 6 million or under midfielder? Well, Gordon and Palmer for me are definitely the best. Obviously, Palmer suspended right now. You might have Gordon already. Apart from those two, Douglas Luiz definitely springs to mind. Should I keep Tsimikas in case Haaland returns next game to do Salah to Haaland? I mean, I'm not sure, because you can still sell Tsimikas and go to a Dan Burn at a similar price and get a clean sheet this week. If you can do that for free, I'll do Tsimikas to Dan Burn or Botman without any shadow of a doubt. Now, if going from Tsimikas to Trent prevents you from getting Haaland back very soon and you want him, then of course, fair enough, you can reconsider. You don't have to go for Trent like many people are doing. But yeah, to be honest, I think I'd just go to Dan Burn or Botman for free. Trent captain, he's in my top 5, and I'm actually going to show you a poll very soon. Now, yeah, if I had to rank the captaincy this week, it's quite a difficult one, but I put Salah first, Son second. I think in third position, I'd probably put Trent. I think Trent's in my top three. In fourth, I'd put Solanke and Saka fifth. Now, there might be an option I'm kind of forgetting who, looks good. Even Watkins would be in the top 10, but that's probably my top 5 captaincy options for the week. I'll show you a poll I put out on my YouTube channel. You can also vote on it even now, so be sure to do that. The chat is very busy today, and I appreciate it. I'll try to get through as many questions as possible, and of course, the aim is always to get through them all. Trippier to Trent. Long term, I think it's a good move, but right now, I don't think I'd sell Trippier. I honestly wouldn't sell Trippier. You could do a bit of a defensive switcheroo, so sell a Tsimikas or maybe, let's say, an Anderson or a Lascelles to go to Trent this week, keeping Trippier, and then in the coming weeks you can downgrade Trippier, and that will give you the funds necessary to buy Haaland. But it might be a bit too much shopping and changing for your liking, but I would probably recommend that instead. Best wildcard differential picks for defenders, midfielders, strikers, positions. Well, one for the midfielder that really stands out to me is Pascal Gross. He's in great form in the last 6 game weeks, and he's such a consistent option in general. He gets so many bonus points whenever he gets an attack in return. I think Gross is very underrated in general, so he would be my pick in the midfield. Pedro Neto, when he's available and returns from injury, he could be a shout, but I think right now you're looking at Pascal Gross. In the defence, I'd probably go for Botman. And in the forward line, in Cuckoo. I think that's the way I'd rank it. Pretty standard stuff. Why are people ignoring Solanke this week? I mean, I just mentioned him as a top 5 captaincy option, but look, it's kind of natural for people to now start wanting to captain him when he got 17 points and a hat-trick. But look, I know it's Fulham who just lost to Burnley, and Fulham have been poor over the course of the season defensively, and Solanke is in the form of his life. Of course, there's a lot of different reasons why he is a good captaincy option, but you also have Salah away to Burnley. You've got Son against Brighton. You've got Saka against West Ham. There are alternatives. Trent even is a great captaincy option, and I'd rank him in the top 3. When is the best time to have Brighton assets? I mean, even now is a good time to buy them, but I'd say the definitive best time on paper, based on the fixtures, would be Gameweek 21. It's just a sea of green in the FDR. But I wouldn't mind buying them in now against Tottenham, Gameweek 20 as well. I still fancy Brighton to score some goals. So, yeah, I think between now and Gameweek 21 is the best time. Trippier captain, he'd be a shout. He's in my top 10. He's in poor form. Nottingham Forest have a new manager, and they put in a very gutsy performance despite having 10 men against Bournemouth. But Newcastle should win, and I'm backing them for a clean sheet. If they do that and Trippier gets an attack in return, you could easily be looking at 12 plus points. Can Alvarez be a differential? Yes, of course he can. He's still in my top 5 forwards in the FPL, but I'd rank in Cuckoo higher, and my top 3, as you all know, is Haaland, Watkins, and Solanke. Of course, we're waiting for Haaland to return from injury. Start Bowen or Archer. I have Saliba in defence. I'd still go for Bowen. Such a consistent option. 11 goals for the season, 15 big chances. There's so much to like. Jarrod Bowen, for me, has to start. Is there anything you would change on your wildcard video? So in my wildcard video, I went for Dubravka, Leno. You know what? I'll show it on my on screen so it's easier to follow. So let's go to FPL.Team, and we're now gonna yeah, okay, well, we're on the right screen. Let's go to the wildcard team just so you can see. Okay, so any changes I'd make to the wildcard team? Great question. So I went for Dubravka and Leno as my goalkeepers. Burn, Zinchenko, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Saka, Richarlison, Bowen, Palmer, Salah, Watkins, Solanke, and the bench is Leno, Colwill, Pedro Porro, and Archer. What would I change? 3.9 million in the bank too. Look, I've always said this. For me, long term, up until the end of the season, I'd rather have Saliba over Zinchenko, but on a wild card, you can afford to go for a bit more of a shorter term punt, and I think Zinchenko up until February will outscore Saliba, so long as Zinchenko isn't benched more often than I expect. The midfield, I think I'd keep the exact same. Now, with Son, you'd want him for the next 2 game weeks, but then he's a sell in Gameweek 21. You don't want to have too many Asian or African players. No discrimination, of course. I'm talking about the cup competitions. You have to be wary of that. That's why Kudus hasn't really featured. I talked about skipping him recently, even though I like him a lot as an FPL option. So, yeah, I think any changes I'd make could include Saliba for Zinchenko. I'd also consider another goalkeeper for Leno because Fulham are so unpredictable. They can beat West Ham 5-0 and then lose to Burnley 2-0 at home. So that's always going to be a problem. I would consider going for the Arsenal defensive double up and going for Raya, but I already mentioned Raya in that video. I mentioned 4 or 5 goalkeepers in my last few wildcard videos, and I put Raya firmly in the top 3. So you can always go for him, and you start Raya whenever Dubravka has an away game because Newcastle are terrible on their travels. Colwill has great fixtures. You can still keep him. You can go for Gusto as well, but yeah, I'm trying to think of another defender you can maybe go for. Mikalenko still is a good shout. You can go for a Man City player, especially with a pending double game week. So you could opt for a Walker instead. And I would expect Man City to shore things up a little bit at the back and go on a decent run. So yeah, Kyle Walker could be a good option there instead of Colwill. But yeah, apart from that, not much would change. You can just bench Palmer this week. Now, of course, on a wild card, you don't want to have any red or yellow flag players, even orange, of course. But you know, if you were to make a change here, instead of Palmer, you could go for Gordon or Pascal Gross. As I keep on saying, that is a great shout. Now, I prefer Gordon for this week compared to Pascal Gross, but over the next 4, I'm taking the German every single day, to be fair. So Gordon or Gross would come in for Palmer, you could say, and you can always bring Palmer back next week or the week after. So that's the only few changes I'd make to the wildcard team. They're very minimal, as you can see. Not much has changed. It still holds up. And of course, there's some alternatives you can do as we go along. Botman instead of Burn. You can go for Saliba instead of Zinchenko. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Maybe Son instead of Salah, but I'd definitely recommend Salah this week. There's no doubt about it. And instead of Archie, you can go for any budget striker. It could be Moniz, it could be Semenyo, but once again for Semenyo, off to the African Cup of Nations of Ghana in Gameweek 21. So be wary of all of that. But yeah, that is the best wildcard team. Still pretty similar. I've shown you some alternatives, and it's all well and good. Let's actually go for some different screens first before going back to your questions. And like I said, I will be gifting more memberships today, potentially another 10. So be sure to smash the like button, subscribe for new, and help us reach more goals in the future. And we want to get to over 100 likes in this stream. That's definitely possible. Chelsea, Brighton, Man City, Luton Town, and Man United are in the top 5 of the FDR. Nottingham Forest, Everton, Burnley, Wolves, and West Ham are in the bottom 5, but I still recommend Bowen in the long term. Predicted points, Salah is top. Son, Saka, Gordon, and Bruno Fernandes complete the top 5. Then we've got Trippier, Solanke, Odegaard, Gabriel Jesus, and Bowen in the top 10. So a lot of love there for the Arsenal players, and also a bit of a mixture between Newcastle, Liverpool, Spurs, etc. In terms of projected price rises, it looks like Nkunku could go up in price tonight. Let's actually refresh the page and see if there are any updates. I don't think it's changed. Yeah, Trent, Colwill, Gordon should all go up in price. Yeah, and Nkunku went up in price yesterday, so that was out of date. Doku, Pau Torres, Decore, and Tsimikas could all go down in price tonight. I think Tsimikas almost certainly will, because, I mean, he's that close already, and a lot of people might have kept him up until now, and they're going to sell him just before the deadline. So there should be a lot of transfer activity and a lot of price changes over Boxing Day heading into the 27th of December. In terms of Drafthound, Salah is top in terms of chance of scoring. Isak is second. Watkins, Son, and Alvarez are in the top 5. Saka, Darwin, Odegaard, Haaland, and Solanke. Quite surprising to see Haaland there, considering he has 0 Premier League goals. I think he still has a lot of potential. He's a good young striker. He has done very well in the Champions League, but he just hasn't been able to translate that form to the Premier League so far. In terms of stats, as we all love to do, Trent versus Trippier is a big consideration to make. I think Trent is the clear victor at this moment in time, but in terms of underlying numbers, Trippier does lead in a lot of these metrics. Now, he has more attacking contributions in general, but Trent has the goals over Trippier. In terms of shots, that's where Trent definitely leads. But then you look at expected assists, Trippier almost double that of Trent. Also 10 big chances created for both of them, and 50 key passes for Trippier too. I really like him for Nottingham Forest fixture. I would keep Trippier this week, but in Gameweek 20, I would consider selling him at least for a short while, especially if you need funds to get Haaland back, or you want to make another transfer, which could include a Trent being bought into your team. So yeah, I think it's a tricky one here with Trippier, but I'd keep him for Gameweek 19 for sure, then potentially sell him between Gameweeks 20 and 23, and you can always buy him back when Newcastle's fixtures ease off. And of course, we showed you the best wildcard team, some changes I would make based on what we've been talking about. And now let's show you some polls that I put out on my channel. So this is the captaincy question I put out, and Salah leads with 70% of the vote, and that was with over 1,000 people taking part. Then you've got Trent in second place with 11%, Solanke in third, and Son in fourth, who is currently my vice captain. And the other poll I put out is the best defender to buy to replace the likes of Tsimikas, Lascelles, and Matty Cash. Trent is also leading it with 70%, and then you've got Dan Burn in second with 13%, Zinchenko in third with 10%, and the other option has 7%. Now, of course, the likes of Pedro Porro should definitely be in this consideration. He's a great replacement for those defenders I mentioned who are injured or suspended, and of course, you've got the likes of Saliba to consider as well. But I think Trent is the best, and by some distance. Just be wary, it could make things difficult in terms of buying Haaland back into your FPL team. So let's go back to my FPL squad, and there we go. Pretty much everything I've discussed from the team selection video. I did record that before the Chelsea-Wolves game, so Palmer got that suspension, which I kept saying in that video. Hopefully he doesn't get it. He did. So it means, sorry, I'm great. It means I'm starting Archer, and Lascelles is on my bench. Now, to be honest, I could just start Lascelles over Archer just in case and hope that Lascelles doesn't come off the bench for a one-pointer. I could always do that, but I really doubt he's going to start anyway, even if he's fully fit. I hope I'm wrong and I get the information before the deadline so I can start him, but let's wait and see. I'm not too optimistic in terms of that situation. So yeah, we do have over 160 people watching. Let's be sure to rack up the likes and get this video to over 100. We're very close to that. And we already got like 100 subscribers in the last day. So thank you very much to those that helped us reach 22,000 yesterday. That is massively appreciated as always. And very soon I'm going to be gifting the membership. So all you have to do is stay watching, smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. Trent and Trippier from -4. Yes, just bear in mind with Trippier, he faces Man City, Liverpool and Aston Villa back-to-back. Saka versus Odegaard on Wildcard thoughts? Yeah, I'd consider Odegaard. I think he's in better form recently, but I still prefer Saka long-term. I think he's more consistent in terms of goals and assists. And yes, he's blanked 3 times in a row, but I'd be very surprised if it became 4 or 5. So yeah, with Saka, of course, people are losing patience. To go for a differential, I don't mind Odegaard at all. But if I'm being asked who do I prefer, who do I think will get more points, I'm still going for Saka. Hey Dylan, Merry Christmas, buddy. Thank you very much, Punjabi. Likewise to you and everyone else watching. I have no Salah and Trent. Should I go differential captain today? Saka time. Saka is in my thoughts. He's in the top 5 captaincy options for me this week. Or if he doesn't make it, he's very, very close to that list. Yeah, I think he's pretty good against West Ham. He scored in this fixture last season. And also it was a Boxing Day match, so same time of year. Yeah, I think Saka's a good option for the captaincy. Do I prefer him over Solanke and Son? Maybe not, but he's definitely on a similar level this week. Odegaard or Bowen? This week I'd favour Odegaard, but long term I favour Bowen. That's for sure. Bowen, for me, is one of the best Salah or Son replacements. Start to Gabriel, Archer, Livramento, and thoughts on Trent captain? I'd start Livramento. I mean, there's a problem with Livramento. If he starts, great option against Nottingham Forest, but like I just mentioned with Lascelles, it could be a case of Trippier starting on the right, Dan Burn on the left, and then you've got the 2 usual centre-backs. So yeah, I'm not so sure about Livramento starting. That's what will put me off. So maybe I'd go for Gabriel and Archer a bit reluctantly. If we get confirmation or a reliable source saying that Livramento will start, definitely put him in your team, and I'd probably put him over Gabriel this week. I think that's what I'd do. Gomez or Zinchenko? Zinchenko, that's for sure. Thank you, Ruhan. Likewise to you, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Enjoy the holidays. Let's see, I missed some questions, unfortunately. Son or Gordon? Well, this week, oof, that's a tricky one. I'd still go for Son, but Gordon is a very good option this week. Very good option. Areola or Turner? This week, I'd go for Turner. Turner? Tricky one. I think it's really a case of both of them scoring between 1 and 3 points, so I don't think there's a massive difference. Of course, this could age horribly wrong, but I'd probably rather start Turner. Hello from Colombia. Great work. Thank you very much, Penguin. Does Gordon start? Want to roll, but have no playing bench? Oh, yeah, I think Gordon starts. And if he does, great chance of a return. Want to roll, but have no playing bench. Yeah, I understand that, but Gordon is still a long-term hold. I sold him last week because he was a doubt. He was a constant yellow flag player throughout December. And also with some of the fixtures coming up, I also thought Luton Town would cause Newcastle problems. I thought Gordon could still do something, but his away record is terrible. Same with Newcastle. And as a result, I sold him last week for a -4. But I think this week it's just difficult to sell him because if he starts, great chance of return. I'd keep him. Lascelles news, there's not really anything new, to be quite honest with you. Eddie Howe said the other day that they hope it's not serious and they'll see how he recovers. But yeah, he doesn't give much away, does he? Thank you, JP. Much appreciated, and I hope you enjoy the festivities. Douglas Luiz or Gross? Pascal Gross. I do like Douglas Luiz, but Pascal Gross is very underrated. I mentioned him a lot in yesterday's video, the transfer tips, and I'll be mentioning more in the future. Hey Dylan, start one, Taylor or Mabama. Running out of options. Yeah, I get that. I'd still go for Taylor. With Mabama, he's not going to... I mean, the maximum he can get, I mean, hopefully I don't jinx it, is 1 point. As for Taylor, yeah, he's facing Liverpool, but yeah, it's a tricky one. I can see why you're asking this. You're kind of hoping Taylor doesn't get minus points, but yeah, I'd start Taylor. Darwin out for Nkuku, Solanke, or Burner transfer. I'd keep Darwin this week. I do like the Nkuku and Solanke moves as well, especially Solanke long term, but yeah, I think I'd keep Darwin this week. I think that's what I'd do. I mean, he is a bit of a troll, isn't he? He really is. Yeah, you know what? Despite the fact that Darwin will start, and I think he could do well against Burnley, Solanke's just a massive upgrade and almost a set and forget option right now. So I'd go to Solanke. I'd go to him. Best captain, Salah for me. Trent will be in the top 3. Son as well. Then you've got the likes of Saka. Gordon is in the top 10 quite easily. Yeah, there's quite a few options this week, but I think Salah is the standout. Dylan, Tsimikas, Zinchenko, Botman, Colwill, or any other defender. Zinchenko for me. Up until February, Arsenal have some good fixtures. Zinchenko should start pretty much every single Premier League game until Timber and Tomiyasu return. And Zinchenko is a bonus points machine. So, yeah, I'd go to him. Yeah, there you go. Hopefully Penguin sees that and we can continue the Colombian connection. Let's captain Son for a differential. Yeah, look, to be honest, I always say don't captain someone for the sake of being differential. Of course, sometimes people want to play that way. That's absolutely fine. But at this moment in time, you know, you look at how this season has gone, the most popular option has pretty much flopped in most weeks for the captaincy. So it's definitely a shout. And Son, for me, is probably second or third in terms of the top options on paper. Basanta says, what should I do with Palmer? I'd still keep him. I'd rather sell Sarr, mate. Sell Sarr. You might have a budget issue in terms of upgrading Sarr, but I think he's the one you have to do, to be honest. Thank you, Lipuk, for the very generous super chat. Merry Christmas and congratulations on the 22k. Team below, 2 free transfers and 0.5 million. Sure, as soon as I see it, I will be reading it out. Thank you very much, Lipuk. And yeah, all the super chats are massively appreciated. Those that also sign up to become a channel member or patron. And we will be giving away 10 more memberships today, if YouTube allows it. Hopefully they do, and I don't look like a fool, which, to be honest, happens very often. Yeah, I don't think that'll surprise many of you. So, before we get to Lipuk's question and read out his team and talk about what to do there, I want to shout out all the channel members and patrons. I have a long list, so yeah, just buckle up, buckle your seatbelts, because it's a lot to go through. So, in terms of, we'll start with the patrons. Yeah, so big shout out goes to Mario Barantes, Alex Orloff, Federico Simos, let me just get this up, Andres Suarez, Luis Alexander Perella, Lovro Zuvic, Rodrigo Urias, and Federico Caliso. Massive shout out to all of you. Same goes for Twisted Parky, Thomas Tio, Stephen, Callum Jr., Natalie S, Line Pedersen, Jay Han, Matt Rooney, Wei Seng, Mr. V, Eldar Halchevich. And by the way, some of the ones I just mentioned now were gifted memberships from the other day, the 24th of December, as a Christmas gift, and also as a way of thanking those that helped us reach 22,000 subscribers. Julio Peña, Milner, Ventislav, Diego Zamora, Aman, Jazabi, Ananda, Unruly DMV, Farhad, Mauro Rodriguez, Pablo Cordero, Lavonier, João Cabral, Simon Spears, Ulises, The Great Aditya, Abhishek, Cat 786, no, yeah, 7861. Maybe I just got that wrong, it doesn't matter. Bestie D, Notharma, Birkan, Atilgan, Sergi, That Air, FPL Eric, Rubstars United, George Popescu, Alex Leadham, Matt Steen, Gabriel Fernandez, and John Granquist, who's been a member for over 2 years, and he's got the silver badge. Very soon he'll have the gold badge, and then there's one of a World Cup winner at the very end if you're a member for 2 years, I think it is. No, if you're a member for like 4 years or something. It's absolutely ridiculous, but thank you very much. And by the way, it's Cat786 681. I'm kind of blind, so apologies for that. Yeah, that's why I'm kind of struggling to read out names sometimes. So yeah, not looking good, bruv. But yeah, thank you very much to all the channels and patrons. We do have almost 100 likes. Let's be sure to hit that by the end of the stream. To be honest, we can get to that now and then push on towards 150 plus. We do have over an hour left for the deadline. So let's get back to Lipuk's question and also all your questions in general. I don't see Lipuk's team yet. Okay, I just saw it now. Dubravka, Trent, Gabriel Borro, said Gabriel again. Walker, Hwang Hee-chan, Gordon, Salah, Captain, Son, Haaland, Solanke, benches, Ariola, Kabore, Palmer, Mabama. Transfer, one of the subs to Archer. I mean, it would give you that, maybe that reassurance of having a playing option on your bench at least, but I'm not so sure. I'd rather upgrade Kabore, to be honest. I think that's the best move for you, because with Archer, yeah, he might be decent this week, but you'd want to bench him in most game weeks coming up, to be honest. So yeah, I'd rather upgrade Kabore. I think that's the one. Looking at your defense is pretty solid already, but a fifth defender option won't hurt you at all. I think if you want a similarly priced option, I think Branthwaite is absolutely fine. A bit awkward to buy him now when he faces Man City and you're not going to start him for sure, but he's an option to consider. Konsa is also a good shout, as I've mentioned a few times recently. Colwill still on Gusto. With the fixtures coming up for Chelsea, they should keep some clean sheets at the very least. So yeah, I'd be tempted to do Kabore to one of those cheap defenders. And you know what? I'd actually be tempted to buy Burn or Botman and start them this week. Now, who would you bench? Maybe Hwang Hee-chan in this instance, which maybe you're against, but yeah, I'd consider that. I'd probably do Kabore to Burn or Botman. I think that's the best move for you, Lipuk. Let me know what you think. Just to refer back to your super chat. Yeah, 2 free transfers, 0.5 million in the bank. Okay, yeah, so that's where the issue comes in. And you've got 2 free transfers. So yeah, I think I can understand what you're saying there. You don't want to burn it and you're happy with starting 11. Yeah, I think then in that case, Mabama to Archer could work out and you can have him first on your bench or even start with a Hwang Hee-chan potentially. But if you were to make another move, I'd actually consider selling Hwang Hee-chan now and going to maybe Pascal Gross. I really think that's a great long-term move for you, Lipuk. So if you don't do Mabama to Archer, which is a good suggestion on your part, I definitely consider Hwang Hee-chan to Pascal Gross. I think you can afford that. Let me double check that. I don't want to give you yet another suggestion which you can't afford. If that's the case, I do apologize. I'm not completely in tune with all the prices for some players, but Pascal Gross is 6.4. Ah, Christ almighty. That's a shame. That's a shame. Yeah, Hwang Hee-chan is 5.7. You'd need a few million more to make that move possible. So I'm just trying to think what we could do with your team to make that work, because I really think that's a good move for you. Wow. Yeah, you're in an awkward situation because everyone in your starting 11 looks good for this week, but at the same time, there's a few things you can do to improve your overall squad, and yet you're probably 0.2, 0.3 million short. So that is frustrating, I'm not going to lie, but let's see, Mabama is 4.4, 4.5 million. It's 4.3 actually, so yeah, he's just, you can't even downgrade the geezer. That's a shame. So yeah, I think Mabama to Archer is absolutely fine for you, but in the long term, what you could consider is certain moves like Hwang Hee-chan to Pascal Gross, and in order to fund that, I would probably have to consider maybe even downgrading a Walker, which sounds crazy with the fixtures coming up, but I think it benefits your team overall, and you can do something like Walker to Botman or Burn. Of course, it's all about a question of timing. And then when Hwang Hee-chan is off to the Asian Cup in Game Week 21, you can always do that. And to be fair, you've got Salah and Son. You're going to be selling them very soon anyway. And once you do, buy Pascal Gross in the midfield. I think that's a really good shout for you. And then apart from that, yeah, I think Bowen is the other one you really want in the midfield. So something you could do, Lipuk, Mabama to Archer this week, and then either in Game Week 20 or 21, you can buy Bowen for Salah or Son, same goes for Saka even, and then also buy Pascal Gross for Hwang Hee-chan. I think that would be a good midfield rebuild over January. I think that's definitely really good for you. Thank you, Lipuk. Yeah, exactly. Long term, though, Pascal Gross, yeah, I keep on saying his name, but I really think he's gone under the radar. He deserves more attention. And yeah, I think that could be a nice differential for you. So overall, the midfield is the position you need to rebuild in the coming weeks because of the Asian Cup and African Cup of Nations. And I think that's a really good way of navigating it. Is Tsimikas to Gusto good to free up funds? I have Trippier, Saliba, Borro, Burn. Yeah. I mean, look, I'm not the biggest fan of Gusto or Chelsea defenders, but that's a good move. Tsimikas is out probably until March, and Gusto has good fixtures for now. Should start most games. So, yeah, I think that's absolutely fine. Gross or Douglas Luiz? Gross. Tsimikas to Walker or Tsimikas to Zinchenko? Or roll one free transfer. I have Borro, Colwill, and Gabriel. Yeah, I'd probably roll. Just bear in mind that Tsimikas will probably go down in price tonight. But look, I'll be honest, Tsimikas to Zinchenko looks great, even this week. But I think I'd stick to what you have now. Have 2 free transfers in Gameweek 20, which would be a luxury. I'm telling you that now. It's a great position to be in. So, yeah, do Tsimikas to Zinchenko next week. You could even consider Trent, by the way. Just saying. You could consider him if that's not really, too difficult to achieve. And if you were to go for Trent, do it this week. Do you think Luis Diaz will play later? Only have 1 free transfer and only Kabore on the bench. Really want to roll so can get Haaland next game week? That's a great question. And a lot of us are in that predicament right now. In terms of the latest update on Luis Diaz, who picked up an injury against Arsenal, Jurgen Klopp said, it was a knee on knee. Lucho told me little pain. The physios were not too concerned, but you never know. And we play in 3 days, so we have to see. He said this straight after the Arsenal-Liverpool game. So yeah, I personally think, well, he will be in the squad. In terms of starting, though, I think it'll be Darwin on the left-hand side. And then we could see Salah and Gakpo. So yeah, of course, it's a difficult one to predict, but I personally think Diaz will be on the bench. Start Ruben or Udogie? I'd go for Ruben Diaz. The only Spurs defender I'd be quite happy to start this week is Pedro Porro for the attacking potential. Do you think Botman will start? Yes, I do. Burn for Tsimikas, good transfer. If you want a similarly priced option, I think Burn is one of the best to buy this week. Just bear in mind, the next 3 are really difficult games. Liverpool, Man City and Aston Villa. But that's a good transfer. Start Raya or Dubravka? I'd go for Dubravka this week. Archer for captain? No. I'm sorry, look, many times when I say no like that, it ends up being the wrong thing to say and they end up doing well. But yeah, I mean, look, when Archer scores, he's got a good chance of bonus points. That's a good thing about him, but he scores very, very infrequently. So I just wouldn't do it personally. I'd rather go for many other options. I think Archer wouldn't even be in my top 20 captaincy options, to be honest. If you want to go for it, back your gut, of course. Don't let me discourage you. My captaincy record is awful for a reason, but I just don't see Archer as a captain outscoring most of the players in our teams this week. Everyone going Tsimikas to Trent. Is Walker good differential? Yeah, no, I think that's a good shout. Walker would be a consideration on the wildcard. I talked about this, I think, early in the stream. Now, Walker won't get anywhere near as many points as Trent or as a Pedro Porro, Zinchenko, and all these other options with bonus points potential, as well as the clean sheets. I think Man City just need to start keeping those clean sheets because so many times they're winning a game and then they concede late on. It's been the case since last season, and that's why no Man City defender got to 100 points last season, which is insane when you say it out loud. I think Walker's by far the best City defender at this moment in time, but I'll be honest, I still think there are better options elsewhere. Hi Dylan, thoughts on Cash to Gusto to leave Palmer on the bench or go for Dan Burn? Yeah, look, that's absolutely fine, but I'd rather go for Burn. You bench him between game weeks 20 and 22, and then you reintroduce him into your team in most weeks going forwards. Richarlison or Gordon on wildcard? Well, I'll be honest, over the next 4, I'd rather have Richarlison. But this week, Gordon looks better at home to Nottingham Forest. And overall, who do I think's the better asset? Gordon. He's very consistent, no blanks in home matches. But then away from home, he's a bit useless, just like Newcastle in general, which sounds a bit harsh, but it's just the way they've been at the moment. I'd rather go for Richarlison on the wild card. If you ask me this question around game week 22 or 23, the question or the answer will change to Gordon. Semenyo or Udogie? I'd go for Semenyo this week. Any Newcastle news? No. In terms of updates, Eddie Howe doesn't give much away. In the know stuff, I'll keep a lookout, but I can't guarantee you anything. I'm checking Twitter right now, but I don't see anything coming up. If you do see something, you can tag me on Twitter. You can also leave something in the live chat. A link would be preferable and it'd be much appreciated. Yeah. Okay, so apparently we will get a Newcastle update around 10:15, and I think it's quite a reliable source. For those of you that aren't aware, it's NUFC Will 1892. I think I've seen them give some pretty reliable news in recent weeks, including Gordon being available for that Luton Town fixture. So yeah, I'll keep an eye out on this page, and then we can go through that. So thanks for the reminder. Oh, it's not letting me add him to the list. That's a bit of a shame. Well, I've got the page ready, and we can go through that when the time comes. So yeah, around 24 minutes time, we should get a Newcastle update, which could prove to be quite reliable. We are 7 likes away from 100. Let's be sure to reach that. And once we do, we'll be giving a giveaway, 10 new memberships in this stream, just like we did the other day. Just a good question. Do you think Everton can beat City? They can. Will they? I don't think so. I don't think they will. I personally backing Man City to go on a run, which I hope they don't, but I'm fearing the worst there. When does the free hit reset? There's no reset for the free hit. You only get one for the whole season. It's different to the wildcard, where you have one wildcard, the first one, for the first 20 game weeks, and then you have the second one for the last 18. Thoughts on Tsimikas and Kudus to Trent and Andre Gomez for a -4. Look, with Kudus, I talked about skipping him recently, but I was very clear in that video. I like Kudus as an option. He's really good on paper, or maybe not on paper. He's a really good option in terms of how exciting he is to watch, very consistent returns, but don't buy him in because of AFCON. If you have Kudus, I would not sell him. Definitely not. With the form he's in, I wouldn't be surprised if he scored against Arsenal. Now, if that's the only way you can fund Trent, fair enough, but I wouldn't go for Andre Gomez. Looked very sharp against Tottenham. Really good goal he scored, but I'd rather go in a different direction. I'm not sure which midfielders you could afford, so let me know what your budget is there, Zulu. Semenyo Alvarez. I'd go for Alvarez still. What about Nkuku captaincy? He'd be a shout. I think if there was any Chelsea player to captain this week, Nkuku would be one of them. But I still think the minutes will be managed, and I also don't trust Chelsea in general. You saw them against Wolves. Some of the chances they missed, the decision-making is absolutely awful at times. So yeah, look, with Nkuku, it's not the worst shout in the world, but I think there are 10 better options in my opinion. Hold Isak or sell for Jesus or Nkuku? Difficult one with the fixture in mind. I'd probably hold Isak for one more week and then sell him. That's what I would do. Now, it could backfire what I just said because there is a possibility he's benched. So just obviously, I can understand why you're kind of asking that. Isak long-term is a sell, but I think for this week, I'd keep. Start Leno or Dubravka. Sterling to Odegaard, Richarlison, Bowen, or my favourite of the lot is Bowen. This week, he might score the least of those three, but overall, he's the best option. Areola or Turner? Turner, but very reluctant. I think Newcastle will score 2, and I also think Arsenal could score 2 at least as well, but yeah, I think I'd rather start Turner this week. Hey Dylan, how about doing an FPL channel with me in Spanish? Interested? We could get many followers. I mean, it's something I'd consider, but yeah, we'd have to talk about it, obviously, in PMs and stuff like that. But yeah, look, I've been asked before in terms of doing stuff in Spanish, and look, I do speak it fluently at home, but still, I think English is my thing. I'd say it's much better than my Spanish. But yeah, look, we can talk about it. Ariel or turn to start, we've covered. We've definitely covered some of these questions. Son or Solanke captain? Son. Son is my vice captain. You can see it on screen, so I'd go for Son. Bowen or Botman? Oof. I mean, Bowen has the highest ceiling, but I think this week I'd probably be tempted by Botman, dare I say. Darwin to Nkuku and Lascelles to Trent. Yeah, I'm on board with it. Like I said earlier, with Darwin owners, I'd be considering keeping him for one more week against Burnley, but long term, he's definitely a sell. Yeah, overall, really good transfers. I'd do it. Yeah, I think I'd just do it and get that out of the way. Thank you, Aaron, for the super chat. Much appreciated, mate. Tsimikas to a 4.8 million defender or Palmer to a 5.7 midfielder. I'd rather go to a 4.8 million defender. My defenders are Pedro Porro, Gabriel, Trippier, Burn, and midfielders are Hwang, Foden, Richarlison, Salah. Yeah, I think I'd still rather go for the defender. Palmer is a long-term hold for me, as I discussed in yesterday's video, the transfer tips. So yeah, I'd rather do that. And also, in the coming weeks, you're going to be looking to sell Salah and Hwang Hee-chan around Gameweek 21. So yeah, a defender's what I'm looking to buy. You've got Trippier, Burn, Gabriel, Pedro Porro. Who could you go to at 4.8 million? I mean, a Liverpool defender would be preferable. You could consider Joe Gomez right now with all the injuries they have. Yeah, I think that could be a shout for you. If not, you've also got the likes of Mikalenko, Branthwaite, Tarkovsky. Konsa's also a good shout. So, yeah, I think that would be pretty decent. Well, Godson, I mean, Salah's literally my captain right now. He's you can see it there. Fernandes to Odegaard or Roll. Odegaard's in good form, it has to be said. Bruno Fernandes has good long-term fixtures, but Man United are very inconsistent. I think I'd do it. I think I would, yeah. Start Baldock, Konsa, or take a -4 for Trent. I think a -4 hit for Trent still pays off, to be quite honest with you, but if it also means you need to take a hit to get Haaland or even -8 in Gameweek 20, should he be available, that's a bit too much. So you have to be a bit careful about it. What are your future transfer plans? Depending on how many transfers you're looking to make in Gameweek 20, it's not that many. I'd just take the -4 for Trent. I don't mind starting Konsa this week, to be quite honest with you. Even Baldock. My prediction is a 1-0 Sheffield United win. I could be completely wrong about it. So, yeah, you could be onto something with just starting Baldock or Konsa. Overall, though, a -4 for Trent will almost certainly pay off. One free transfer with 7.5 million in the bank. Roll the transfer, Tsimikas to Trent, Diaby to Richarlison. Tsimikas to Trent. I would do that this week. Then in game week 20 or 21, you can always sell Diaby as well to either Gordon, Pascal Gross, Cole Palmer when he's available. There's a few options you can go to, that's for sure. Dylan, you use Haaland's funds on Trent. What's the thought process? I discussed everything in my team selection video the other day. I still have 1.8 million in the bank, and even if I didn't get Trent, one of my ways of buying Haaland back would involve selling Salah for a hit in Game Week 20. Maybe I could have done it for free by not getting Trent in this week, but it doesn't really change much in terms of my route back to Haaland, and inevitably, Son and Salah are occupying a lot of my budget, and as a result, they will be the sacrificial lambs to bring him back in. Now, in Game Week 20, when Salah faces Newcastle at home and Son plays Bournemouth, I'd rather sell Salah on paper, but Salah at Anfield is just a beast. You know, he's absolutely insane, so consistent. So that's not going to be easy, but I might have to do it for a -4 hit. So it is what it is. I still think Trent can get enough points to justify such a move, and his ceiling, the bonus points, you know, if you actually break it down, I think since Game Week 8, Trent has more points than Salah, and that's absolutely unbelievable for an 8.3 million defender, soon to be 8.4. Good day, mate. Will Pedro Neto be back for Game Week 19 or 20? There were reports they should be in the squad against Chelsea, and that wasn't the case. I'm not sure exactly when. I would expect him to be back, you know, in the game weeks you said, but if I had to maybe put a marker down in terms of when he's going to start, I'd say game week 20 or 21, but that isn't, you know, set in stone. The last update we got was 5 days ago, and Gary O'Neill said he's trained the full week in regards to Pedro Neto. So we'll see how he goes in the next 2 days to how much involvement he can have at the weekend. So I think he's not far away, but I would probably guess that game week 20 or 21 is when he'll start and not this week. Maybe he's going to be on the bench, but I wouldn't expect him to start the game here. Hi Dylan, who would you bench between Darwin, Gabriel and Saliba? I'd bench an Arsenal defender, probably Gabriel. I have Trippier, Saliba, Bodder or Burn, Taylor. I can get Trent for Bodder or Saliba. Yeah, look, Trent is the best defender in the game, so that is still an upgrade. But yeah, Saliba, if you look at him until the end of the season, he's arguably a season keeper. Pedro Porro, great fixtures coming up for Spurs, and his attacking potential is insane. I'd probably not do it in your situation. Now, look, Trent will score more points than Bodder and Saliba, that's for sure, but if it also makes it more difficult to buy Haaland back for you, then it's just not worth it. So that, I think, will be the determining factor. You know, what would be impacted by you getting Trent? Will it make it more difficult to get Haaland back for you, or is it still not an issue? So let me know. But I think you can just roll and go without Trent for now. Played Dubravka or Edison? Dubravka. Oh. Yeah, I actually thought I've literally been highlighting the chat or trying to for the whole stream. So let me see if I can fix this now. Yeah, I don't know why the link changed. I've been trying to do it for the whole stream. But yeah, there you go. It should... Why is it not working? Oh, there we go. Now it's finally starting to work. So yeah, there you go. Not sure why. Thank you for letting me know, because it might sound weird, but I literally got the whole chat for myself. It's covering most of the screen, so I can't see if it pops up on the YouTube video or not. So I appreciate that. Should I captain Trent? He's in my top 3 options this week. So yeah, I'm not against it. Why not? A clean sheet against Burnley is possible. Attack and returns and bonus points, I mean, they'll almost certainly come with Trent. Yeah, I think that's a good option. Start Bodder or Colwill? I would go for Colwill this week. Son playing better at home. Solanke has been scoring 3 weeks in a row, so I expect him to drop a little bit. I have Leno in goal as well, so I'm considering Saka. Yeah, I think that's absolutely fine. I also sometimes think that way in terms of when a player is in red-hot form. Of course, they can continue it, but more often than not, there is a drop-off, and it's difficult to maintain that goal-scoring rate for 4, 5, 6, 7 games in a row. I think the Premier League record is, was it 10, 11? By the likes of Vardy and Van Nistelrooy. Start Archer or Konsa? I'd start Archer, but Konsa's not a bad shout this week. Haaland captain, I don't think he'll play, to be honest. Zaid says Darwin to Solanke for a hit. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I think the hit pays off in the long run, but I'm just thinking about this week, and I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. I probably would do it because long-term you set up your team and your forward line, but yeah, I'm not so sure if it pays off this week. And if that's the case, you can always maybe expect or maybe hope for or delay that move for another week. Pickford or Turner to start? Turner. Solanke or Alvarez? Solanke. Is Haaland injured? He's still injured as far as we're aware. It's only a matter of time before he's back. I'd say Gameweek 20 or 21 is when he will start. I don't think he will against Everton. Lascelles, I don't think he'll play anyway, even if he's available. If we get news that he does, and of course we'll keep an eye out for that update by NUFC Will, if I see that Lascelles is starting, I will put him in for Archer. So hopefully we get clarification on that situation. Would you rather start an Aston Villa defender or a Luton Town defender this week? I think both options are viable, but I'd probably go for the Luton Town one. My prediction is 1-0 to Sheffield United, but you have to say Luton Town have been better this season. The Premier League table doesn't lie. And I think that game could go either way. Any stats that support Trent over Salah captaincy against Burnley? Well, we can go through a stats comparison between the two. Now, obviously, it will be quite natural for Salah to lead in most metrics because he plays much further forward. I think Trent certainly has the bonus points over Salah. That's what Trent has. He also has the clean sheet avenue. So that's for sure. More points than Salah since Game Week 8, but Salah is just so consistent. Now, maybe one stat that could also play a part in that Trent over Salah thinking is that Salah doesn't have a great record against Burnley. Bear in mind it was a Sean Dyche Burnley, which is completely different to this new look from Vincent Kompany. But yeah, I think Salah's only got 1 Premier League goal against Burnley. So that could also be another stat that will support the Trent over Salah captaincy. Off the top of my head, of course. Play Zinchenko or Archer? I'd probably go for Zinchenko. Gusto to start? Yeah, I don't mind starting him this week, to be honest. Yeah. Is Trent worth a buy knowing that I need to take a -4 hit in Game Week 20 to get in Haaland and sell Salah? Yeah, I'm in that situation right now. I still think it's worth it. Of course, with Salah, in any home game, he can get 8+ points very easily. The hope would be that Newcastle keep things tight, park the bus, and make things very difficult for Liverpool, which is possible. But Newcastle away from home are terrible. I'd expect Liverpool to score 2 or 3, and that will make selling Salah very difficult. I might even have to go without Haaland personally, but I still think Trent is worth a buy, to answer your question. Thank you. Been following you for a long time and wish you success, my friend. Thank you, Zaid. I appreciate that, and likewise for you and your family. Bench Darwin or Colwill? I'd bench Colwill. Best Lascelles replacement, Branthwaite or Gusto? Well, Gusto has better fixtures, and this week he is the better option, but I would rather have Branthwaite in the long term. Beyond the next 6 game weeks, I think Branthwaite is a better FPL option. I'll just go and sleep when Liverpool play later. Can't watch a hungry Liverpool drop 2 points 2 weeks in a row. Drop points 2 weeks in a row. Toying Burnley. Yeah, my prediction is 3-0 Liverpool. It could even be worse than that. Let's wait and see. But yeah, it sounds crazy because they still score a lot of goals, but I think the attack still needs to click a little bit. Same with Arsenal as well. I think Manchester United can win to 0. Yeah, they can. I wouldn't be surprised if they shock people. I've gone for a draw currently, but look, I wouldn't mind if United won, to be honest, which sounds crazy. Forgot I have Lascelles. Fernandes to Odegaard or Lascelles out. Thanks for the help. I think Odegaard is a great shout. I wouldn't mind doubling up on that Arsenal attack. And Odegaard, for me, is the second best behind Saka. But I think, I mean, wait for the news that we could get in 9 minutes, because there is a reliable Newcastle source saying that he's going to reveal something. But yeah, I wouldn't expect Lascelles to be in the starting 11 anytime soon, with everyone else available now. So yeah, I think Lascelles could be a good transfer out. And if you can go to Trent or Pedro Porro, Zinchenko, Saliba, all these options we've talked about all stream, I'd go in that direction instead. Kevin, I mean, he's literally on screen. I don't know what to say. If you look at the right-hand side, close to where my ugly face is, literally Trent is right there. So, yeah. And Salah's the captain. I think maybe the away kits have caught you off guard. Mbama to Alvarez or Chukwuemeka to Saka for a -4. Chukwuemeka to Saka is the better move, in my opinion. Nkuku captain, says Ahmed. I'm personally not there yet. I think Nkuku is a quality player. And if he can acclimatise quickly to Chelsea and get a consistent run of starts, yeah, he could be a good option. But I don't think I'd captain him, to be honest. Alexander says 2 free transfers, 1 million. My defence is Colwell, Gabriel, Gusto, Lascelles, Kabore. I would be tempted to either upgrade Kabore or trim down your Chelsea defenders, because I just don't trust them enough. 1 is certainly enough. I wouldn't go for 2. So you could do either Colwell or Gusto to Burn or Botman. I think that's what you could do. And to be fair, you've got Lascelles, who I don't think will start. Obviously, wait a few minutes until we get maybe some leaks there, but I would be tempted actually to sell Lascelles. In the coming weeks, you can also bring in Pedro Porro for either Gusto or Colwell. So there's a few things you could do. Best Tsimikas replacement, well, Trent, if you can afford it. But apart from him, I'd probably say Botman or Burn. Congrats on 22k. Thank you very much, Safir. Much appreciated. And that's why we'll be giving away 10 memberships in this stream. Kak says, 1, play concert and roll. 2, upgrade Mbama to Jesus. Or 3, Palmer to Bowen, Richarlison, Odegaard. Now, I like the options you're considering in the midfield, but I'd still keep Palmer long term. So my preference would be number 1, play concert. The Fantasy Football Lad says, Dubravka, Areola, Saliba, Gabriel, Tsimikas, Porro, Taylor, Palmer, Bowen, Salah, Saka, Diaby, Solanke, Watkins, Archer. What do you think? I think it's a good team. There's not much really to begrudge there. Maybe your goalkeeper looks a bit weak this week, but Areola's all right, you know, for a budget option, I guess. Very frustrating that I benched him last week. Diaby would be a sell in the coming weeks. Obviously, bear in mind, Salah would be a sell in Gameweek 21. Tsimikas is someone you could definitely get rid of this week. Who do you go to? You've got that double up in the Arsenal defence already, all well and good. I'd be tempted by Tsimikas to Trent still, in your case, or going from Tsimikas to Burn or Botman. I think that's what I would do. And then in the coming weeks, you can do Diaby to Pascal Gross. And then for Salah, you can always bring in a Gordon or, I'm trying to think in your case, Richarlison could also be a good shout in your team. Thank you, Punjabi, for the shout out. As he says, let's try to get this stream to over 150 likes. Then we can possibly push on towards 200. But thank you very much for the kind words. Is Trippier a sell after this game week? I'll be honest, if Newcastle don't keep a clean sheet and Trippier looks poor once again, then yeah, I'd say he's a sell in Gameweek 20. Facing Liverpool, Man City and Aston Villa, 3 of the toughest games you can get in the Premier League, that's for sure. That's not good enough, to be honest, Zulu. I mean, if you're happy with having, 4 midfielders and then, 3 forwards, that's fair enough. But there's not really anyone at 4.4 million and below, in my opinion. I might be forgetting somebody, but I think it's really difficult to get one. Hit the like button and subscribe. Thank you, Safir. Arthur says start Raya or Dubravka. Dubravka. Bench Colwell, Gabriel or Bowen. I'd bench Gabriel. Something really fortunate in at least Liverpool not playing at home. Yeah, true. And Liverpool can be a bit suspect on their travels. They have drawn a lot of games this season, and I would anticipate they will drop quite a lot of points away from home, whilst at Anfield they'll win virtually every game, with the odd exception here and there. By Gusto or Colwell. Gusto will have more attacking potential. He plays a bit further forward, but I don't really think there's much of a difference. I'd argue Colwell is more nailed, and that could be a decent, reason why you should go for him instead. I'd probably go for Colwell, but not much to separate them. I'd start Dubravka Wasing. No worries. Dutta. Double differential buys in thoughts. I'm thinking of doing Foden and Odegaard in for Martinelli and Matoma. Yeah, absolutely fine with that. Another option you can consider is Pascal Gross. Really good differential, in my opinion. Very underrated. So, yeah, that could be another one. Start Bodro or Archer. Probably Bodro. Richarlison or Johnson. Richarlison. Any updates on Pedro Neto? I gave one around 10 minutes ago. He was close to making the squad against Chelsea. I think he'll be back very soon. We don't have a definitive update recently, as far as I'm aware, but I would expect Pedro Neto to be in the squad either this game week or the next. And in terms of starting, I'd probably give it another week or so. Best replacement for Sterling, Jared Bowen, if you don't have him already. Pascal Gross, Gordon would definitely be up there. Start Kudus or Alvarez. Alvarez this week, but Kudus, great form, so difficult to bench him. I would reconsider that. Hi Dylan, sorry if I missed. Should we keep Tony in mind? And that's a great question. It's not been asked much really in any stream. Yes, Ivan Toney was one of the best forwards in FPL last season, even better than Ollie Watkins when he was available. So yeah, he definitely will be in mind. Now, he is linked with a lot of moves to the likes of Chelsea, Tottenham and Arsenal, who will all be in the market for a striker. So we should keep an eye out for that situation. But Tony, yeah, I think he should definitely be on the radar. Diaz to Odegaard for a hit. Yeah, I think it's worth it. There is a chance that Diaz starts today, though. The injury wasn't too serious. It was a knee-on-knee injury, as described by Jurgen Klopp. Hi Dylan, Tsimikas to Pedro Porro and cash to Trent. Sell Trent and someone later to get in Haaland. Yeah, good options. I like that. With Trent, though, you could arguably keep him longer term than that. Yeah, and still get Haaland in, because remember, if you've got Son and Salah, they'll be off to their cup competitions in Gameweek 21, they'll be with their countries, and as a result, they would be the best ways to fund the Erling Haaland move. Kabura just got a yellow flag. Should I start him over Mitchell or just play Haaland? Well, I'd play Haaland if you have him and you're not going to offload him. Basically, if your plan is to hold Haaland, I'd start him this week, that's for sure. But I personally don't think he'll be available. You might need to make a transfer this week to have a full 11. Fionki says 1 free transfer and 8.5 million in the bank. And well, to be fair, actually, CR7, you do have Mitchell, who will play anyway, but it's not ideal. Fionki puts his team, Chukwuemeka 2 or Tsimikas to Trent. So looking at your midfield, you've got Salah, Son, Saka, Palmer. Yeah, midfielders that I'd recommend would be Bowen, Pascal Gross, Anthony Gordon. So you could do that. I think that's a great shout. You know what? It might sound a bit crazy, but I would be tempted to make both moves for a -4 hit. Tsimikas to Trent, and then Chukwuemeka to Gordon as 2 examples, or even Pascal Gross. So yeah, if I had to pick one, I'd probably go for Tsimikas to Trent. Yeah, and then, you know, you can always do the other move next week, but I'd be tempted to make both for a -4 hit. Best replacements for Pau Torres? Well, he could be available this week, and he's got good long-term fixtures. So, yeah, if you're looking to replace him, kind of the usual suspects, you know, an Arsenal defender, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko, Pedro Porro. Trent, if you can afford him. Yeah, I think those would be my favourites, to be honest. Which week would you start Leno over the Dubravka? Yeah, that's the issue with Leno, and that's why when I made an updated version of the wildcard in this stream using FPL.Team, I did get rid of Leno for Raya. To be honest, I think with Leno, you start him whenever Dubravka's away from home. That's pretty much the policy. And Leno can get clean sheets in the so-called tougher games, like he did against West Ham when Fulham won 5-0. Thoughts on Saliba versus Gabriel? I think Saliba's still the better option. He gets more bonus points. He's also less prone to rotation this season. And obviously, Gabriel scored a bullet header against Liverpool, but that was his first goal of the season. And not only that, his underlying numbers are very poor. However, historically, he's got much bigger goal threat than Saliba. He's got 11 goals in the last couple of seasons, which is by far the most of any defender. No worries, I am Monson. Let me know how it all goes. I wish you the best. Turner or Areola, says Omar. Probably Turner this week. Dean out for a -4. Not sure if I'd take him out for a -4 unless you're going to a Trent or a Trippier. And even with Trippier, he's only good for this week on paper. Is Haaland fit? I don't think so. If you do see something on Twitter or any reliable source, be sure to let me know. But as far as I'm aware, Haaland isn't fully fit yet. We do have almost 150 likes and 200 people watching, pretty much there or thereabouts. So let's be sure to get to 150 likes. And if we do, I'll be gifting away 10 memberships before the end of the stream. So be sure to hit the likes, and you could get a free membership to my channel, which would mean you get early access to my videos, priority reply to comments in the comment section, as well as the live chat. So be sure to do that. It'd be massively appreciated. And I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, of course. Hopefully you had a great time yesterday and continue to do so. Bench 1, Gabriel, Trent, Borro, Colwell. You don't bench Trent, come on. He shouldn't be in this conversation. I'd probably bench Gabriel from those 4. DS out for a hit. If he doesn't play, I've only got 10 men. Yes, and there are some midfielders who would justify the -4 hit, whether now or in the coming weeks. So Jared Bowen, Pascal Gross, Bukayo Saka. I mean, Salah and Son, normally they would, but remember, they would be sells very soon. But yeah, I'd probably take the hit, to be honest. I think it's worth it. No Lascelles today, according to Will. There you go. Thank you for that, by the way. Because, yeah, literally right on cue. Yeah, Lascelles X. Let's actually bring that up on screen. Just so people will know. Lascelles is out. He is not going to play today, it looks like. And by the way, I'll give you a Aston Villa predicted lineup as well. Why not? Just to make things even better. So yeah, let me just bring up the source. And yeah, let's bring this up on screen now. So there you go. It's just a simple tweet. Lascelles X. There we go. I've got him on my bench. I made a transfer for Trent. I needed to make some defensive reinforcements. Cash suspended, and also might have picked up an injury. Then you've got Tsimikas, of course, injured for a couple of months, it looks like, and Lascelles, who probably won't even start anyway. Now, obviously, this tweet is quite vague. Lascelles could be on the bench, but I'm guessing it's just he's completely out of the squad. And obviously, they've got Botman, Burn, and Fabian Schär all available, so they can just play those 3 between left back, and also the centre back positions. So yeah, Lascelles is out. He is not going to play today. So if you're going to be down to 10 men, make sure to make a transfer, especially in the defender position. So yeah, 20 more likes and we get to 150, and we're also 4 viewers away from 200. So yeah, let's be sure to reach those goals, and also to get to more in terms of subscribers. We're already on course. We're making good progress towards 23,000 subscribers. We've gained around 100 in the last day or so, and it's all thanks to your support. I gave a shout out to all the channels and patrons earlier in this stream, also to those that send in super chats. Let's now give out some memberships. We'll give 5 now and give another 5 very soon. Actually, I don't think... Oh, yeah. Ah, right. Okay, I think that's the way it goes. Okay. Yes, yes. I'm allowed to give 10 memberships per month. I think that's the way it goes. So, yeah, there we go. Maybe there will be another 5 or so. I mean, yeah, I'll let you guys know, but I just realized I'm actually not really on board with this membership thing. Wei Seng was the one who told me, and yeah, it's a nice new feature they've done, but of course, it's going to be 10 per month, and that'll be the aim we're going to do every single month. So we gave away 10 on the Christmas Eve deadline or reaction stream, and now, yeah, every single month we'll be giving away another 10, and it's randomly allocated, by the way. I have no influence in terms of who gets it, but there you go. Lascelles is out. Let's now go back to my FPL team. It makes no difference because my transfer is already made. Some people are asking, you know, oh, why are you not captaining Salah? Where's Trent? And I literally have both of them in my team. So let's actually go through my squad. Dubravka's in goal. My defensive line is Saliba, Pedro Porro, and Trent Alexander-Arnold. Saka, Son, Bowen, and Salah is the midfield 4. One of the best midfields you can assemble, in my opinion. Then Archer, and he said in Cuckoo, Watkins and Solanke. My bench is Areola, Lascelles, Palmer, and Cash. And things aren't looking good in terms of my bench. Of course, Palmer and Cash will be available in terms of suspensions from Gameweek 20 onwards, but Cash is just a terrible option anyway. Lascelles would have likely lost his spot, so I need to make some transfers to bolster my squad depth and also to navigate this period. If I want to buy Erling Haaland back in Gameweek 20, it will be difficult. I have made it more difficult with the signing of Trent, but I think it will be justified in the end. In terms of the captaincy, it is on Salah, and my vice is Son, but other considerations I'm making would be Solanke, Trent, and Saka. That's my top 5 captaincy options for the week. Not just for my squad, but probably in general. And other considerations I'd make would include the likes of Gordon. Trying to think of anyone else that would spring to mind. Of course, you always get these kind of random options who don't look great on paper. They might have a difficult game and they do very well. I think Watkins would be in the top 10 against Manchester United. But yeah, I think there's still quite a lot of options this week. It's quite open, but most of us will be going to Salah. I really hope that's not another case of the popular option blanking and disappointing. Considering Nkunku or waiting to see more? Yeah, look, in my case, I'm not really considering to buy him anytime soon because I want to buy Erling Haaland back when he's available, and I've already got Watkins and Solanke, so that's where my priorities are. But in general, yes, I'd consider Nkunku. He's probably 4th in my favourite forwards list, but I think Solanke and Watkins are better. I've already got them, and I want to buy Erling Haaland back, so that's kind of where my head's at the moment. Best option for 5.7 million. In what position though? Are we talking defenders, midfielders? If we're talking midfielders, I'd probably go for, well, Palmer in general, but in terms of who's available, I'd probably go for... I don't think Douglas Luiz is 5.7 million or below anymore. Oh, he is. Yeah, probably Douglas Luiz then would be a shout. Anyone else from 7 million and below? Yeah, Hwang Hee-chan would be an option, but I wouldn't recommend him now with the fixtures and also the Asian Cup in Gameweek 21. So yeah, it would be Douglas Luiz, apart from obviously Palmer, who's by far the best in my opinion. In terms of defenders, I would probably say Saliba, Zinchenko, or Pedro Porro. Any single one of those three is absolutely fine. Zinchenko's the best until February. I would argue Saliba is the best until the end of the season. Bench Porro, Trent, Cher, Gabriel, or... I'm not sure because you repeated Trent twice. I'd rather bench Gabriel. Play Gabriel Archer. Probably Gabriel. Best midfielder, any budget to get right now. Well, Salah and Son are still the two best. Just bear in mind there will be sales around Gameweek 21. Apart from those two, yeah, I'd say Saka, Odegaard. I'd say Gross is up there. And Gordon. Of course, with Gordon, great this week. Not so good on paper over the next 4 in general. But yeah, it's all circumstantial. When Palmer returns, he's one of the best. But right now, I think, yeah, it'd be Salah, Son, Saka, Odegaard, and Bowen. That's probably my top 5. Which 2 to start from these? Porro, Pinnock, and Burn. I would start Porro and Burn. Burn weed. No, I shouldn't say that. Should I get Trent this week or save a transfer and have the funds to get Haaland next week? Says Believe Hype. Yeah, look, with Haaland, there is no guarantees available for Gameweek 20. I think he will be. And with the way you're kind of phrasing that, I think in your situation, it's probably best to wait for Erling Haaland. I personally went for Trent this week, and I'm still going to try find a way to get Haaland back fairly soon, which could involve selling Salah for a hit. It's still possible, and no matter what you do, it could backfire. So it's all about getting a bit of luck on your side as well, and hoping you get the rub of the green. But I'd say, yeah, if you really want Haaland back, and you can't go without him in Gameweek 20, I'd probably just wait this week and not get Trent. Thank you, Garav. Start Livramento or Archer. I'm not sure if Livramento starts. I personally don't think he will. So my gut feeling is to go for Archer. Is Konsa a good replacement? Yes, he is. A clean sheet at Old Trafford isn't out of the question. You know, the Red Devils haven't scored in their last 4 games across all competitions. But yeah, he's a good long-term shout. Good fixtures. I'll be honest though, I think there are better defenders. Yeah, sorry, it's just Porro means weed in Spanish. I shouldn't have said that. Badiashile versus Gabriel to start. Badiashile. Start Areola or Turner. Areola. Sorry, Turner. I'm not trying to confuse people. I don't really expect either of them to do well. I think they'll get between 1 to 3 points. I'd probably go for Turner. Archer or Livramento. I've covered. Bench Hwang Hee-chan or Archer. I'd probably bench Archer. If Livramento doesn't start, would you go for Livramento, Tsimikas, and Diaby to Botman, Porro, and Gordon for a -4? Yes, I would. Good moves. Does De Bruyne start? I very much doubt it. He might not even be in the squad. Same goes for Haaland. I think De Bruyne will be back very soon, but not at this moment in time. Gabriel over Diaby? Yeah, I think so. Diaby has the highest ceiling, but I'd probably go for Gabriel. Is Man City midfielder a good option? And if so, who is the best 2? Foden and probably Bernardo Silva. I mean, even Rodri is a good shout, and he should be back from his injury, but Yeah, Foden for me is the standout. Once De Bruyne is back, by the way, obviously he rises to first or second in that list. So yeah, when he's available, I'd say De Bruyne and Foden are the best. Are they good in general? Yes, but can you find better elsewhere? Certainly can. You definitely can. With Salah, Son, Saka, I'd argue Odegaard, Jarrod Bowen, Pascal Gross, Palmer, Gordon. I think they're all better FPL options in terms of value and also consistency. With De Bruyne, of course, very consistent when he plays and gets starts, but he also gets a lot of benchings and also injury problems, and that's why I haven't really recommended him much over the last year or so. Jesus, Alvarez, or Solanke for a -4. Solanke for me is the best of the three. I'm going to go for him. Take a -4 for Hwang to Richarlison? No. I would recommend Richarlison. He looks good for this week. Great form. I'd back him to continue it, but I wouldn't sell Hwang for a -4 this week. Who should I bring in for Tsimikas and Maguire? Ideally, it'd be Trent and, let's say, Dan Burn or Botman. It all depends. Do you have an Arsenal defender? If not, I would prioritise that, especially over Newcastle, who have Aston Villa, Liverpool and Man City over the next 4, and it's all back-to-back, of course, after this week. Yeah, Pedro Porro, I keep mentioning. So those are the options I'd go to if you can afford it. Hi Dylan, is there a possibility Pal might start this week? I believe so. I'll give you the latest update provided by Unai Emery, who, to be fair, quite refreshingly, is relatively open in terms of his his injury situation. So the latest we got from him on Pau Torres is this was on the 22nd of December. It's his ankle. It's a small injury. Every day coming is important to see how he's improving. I don't know if he'll be available for Man United, but he could be. So, yeah, like I said, I don't think it's a long-term issue. Emery said this from the beginning. After he revealed that Pau Torres had an injury, he said that the biggest concern from that match against Brentford was Kamara's suspension. And Kamara is very important to Aston Villa, by the way. But, yeah, with Pau Torres, it's not set in stone that will be available. There's a chance, but it's almost 50-50. I think by Game Week 21, he should be in the squad again, starting games, but it might be a bit frustrating for those that bought him in recently, of course. Start Dean or Senesi? Senesi. Start Leno or Raya? Wow, that is a good question. Normally, Bournemouth away, you kind of think no-brainer, but they're in good form. They've actually got the best form of any Premier League team. I think they've got 19 points of the last 24 available, and that's more than Arsenal in second with 18. So it's absolutely unbelievable what Iraola's doing. I'd go for Raya. AK thoughts? I think if you want a Man City defender, you go for Walker. He's the captain, he plays every single minute, and he's one of the very few Premier League players to have played every single minute available so far this season. Saliba's another. So I'd rather go for Walker. Thoughts on Zinchenko? I recommended him in yesterday's video. I said he's a buy. Very poor performance against Liverpool, especially in terms of his defending, but in terms of FPL credentials, the bonus points potential, yeah, over the next month or so, I can't think of many defenders who look better. Burnley won't be a pushover. Good defensively at home in general, apart from that crazy 5-2 game versus Spurs. Solanke captain for me. At home, Bournemouth have scored 2.5 goals on average this season. To be fair, though, Burnley also got battered by Chelsea, didn't they? I think it was 4-1, 3-1, if I'm not mistaken. And look, Burnley, over the course of the season, I mean, look, if we think about their home matches, yeah, they faced Man City. They lost 3-1, I think it was, in the end. But they still haven't faced a lot of top teams in home matches. Even Arsenal, for example, they play them at the Emirates. Yeah, you might be right about Burnley not being a pushover, but I'm personally backing Liverpool to win by 2 or 3. My prediction is 3-0. And I think Salah is just the most consistent option in the game. So, yeah, you might be right, of course. It's a good argument you present. I'm not really saying you're wrong. But I still think Burnley are one of the weakest sides defensively over the course of the season, and I'd back Liverpool to score a couple of goals at the very least. Best replacement for Palmer, I can't afford Bowen. Why sell Palmer, though? That'd be my question. Could you not maybe upgrade a defender instead, especially if you have Tsimikas, Lascelles, or Cash? Just think about it. By the way, for those of you that aren't aware, Lascelles will not play today, according to a reliable source. But yeah, instead of Bowen, I'd say Pascal Gross, 6.4 million. You could also go for Gordon, especially this week, who looks really good. But I'd say Gross or Gordon would be my picks. Thoughts on starting Cameron Archer this week? I'm doing it myself, mate. It's not ideal, but I wouldn't mind it too much. I think it's a decent time to do it. Hey, Dylan, best 4.8 million or cheaper defender? Gabriel, is he not 4.8 million? He might be 4.9 now. Let me double check that. He's 4.9 for Christ's sake. Shishish. So yeah, by the way, we are on over 150 likes and over 200 viewers. Let's be sure to get this stream to over 200 likes. It'd be massively appreciated. I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I appreciate those that subscribe because we are now on 22,000. That's the goal we reached yesterday. So it's a great Christmas gift. I appreciate it. And that's why I gifted 10 memberships on Christmas Eve. And that's something I'm looking to do from now on. I'm able to give 10 memberships every single month, and that will be the plan. So best 4.8 million defender or below, I'd say Burn or Botman long term. Getting rid of Tsimikas, any suggestions? Burn or Botman at a similar price would be my preference. If you can stretch to more expensive choices, then I would say Trent, Saliba or Zinchenko and Pedro Porro are your best replacements for him. So it depends on who you have already. If you've got 2 Arsenal defenders, I wouldn't triple up. I think that's far too excessive. And it also prevents you from getting an Arsenal attacker. So it all depends on your team situation. But I did name you the best defenders to buy at different price points. Alvarez to Solanke, worth it? I think so. Now, Alvarez scored a brace and also got an assist in the Club World Cup final. He might now start to bounce back because he had a really good start to the season. Let's not forget, a lot of us sold Watkins to Alvarez around Game Week 6 because Alvarez was looking like the best forward in FPL behind Erling Haaland. So things do change very quickly. But I think Solanke right now is the most informed forward and the #1 pick in the forward line. Abhishek says Ferguson to Alvarez or Ferguson to Jesus, or roll the transfer and play 4 defenders, Colwell, Gabriel, Porro, Trippier and Garnacho. I'd probably, out of those moves, I think Alvarez is my favourite, but the issue with Alvarez is that once De Bruyne and Haaland are back, which is probably within the next month, Alvarez could start to be benched very often. Of course, I'm talking about hypotheticals, and De Bruyne won't start every single game, but it still might be enough to make Alvarez a weaker option in a month's time. Jesus, I do like, by the way. I talked about skipping him yesterday. I wasn't trying to, be Scrooge or the Grinch, talking about skipping Jesus on Christmas. But, yeah, just with Jesus, I'd rather cover the Arsenal attack in another way with Saka and Odegaard. Martinelli once he starts getting into form again. And not only that, in the forward line, Nkunku is better in my opinion. And, of course, Watkins, Haaland and Solanke, there's no doubt about it. I'd rather go in that direction instead. So, yeah, if you can't go or you don't want Solanke or Watkins, yeah, out of those options, I think #1 is probably my favourite. Thank you, Twister Parky. I appreciate that. See what I did there. I do like that, mate. I do like that. Huang out for a -4. No, as I mentioned to someone else earlier, unless you're going to a Salah, a Son, it's not really worth it in most cases. And even then, those options I just mentioned will be sales in Game Week 21. So it just really depends on who you're bringing in and the context of your team, but I don't think it's worth it. Yeah, definitely. I think that will set the precedent for the second half of the season. If Man City batter Everton, I think the perception will change a lot, and people will say, yeah, Man City are the favourites, they're going to go on a run, and people have this fear factor of Man City once again. If Man City struggle, even with like a narrow win or stuff, people will maybe still say, oh, they've obviously back in the race, but still, there's some doubts about them. If they drop points, I think that will give the likes of Arsenal and Liverpool a lot of confidence. Even if they drop points, of course, I still think City are the favourites. I'm not going to lie to you, but I'm just saying the overall perception and the momentum could swing depending on this result. So it's going to be a big game. You're absolutely right. Hey, Dylan, Tsimikas replacements. I already have Porro, Trippier, Colwell, Saliba with 2.4 million in the bank. Yeah, so just a little water break whilst I think about it. It's a good question. Okay, so you do have most of the top defender options, so to speak. I would be tempted still by Botman or Burn, but you do have Trippier already. And it could be a bit awkward in Game Week 20 to 22 when Newcastle face Aston Villa, Man City and Liverpool. Do you expect them to keep a clean sheet? Probably not. So whilst that double up in the Newcastle defence could pay off this week, it would be a concern over the next 4 overall. So if I'm looking at a defender you could get, You know what? I'd consider a double up in the Arsenal defence. So Zinchenko, Gabriel would be my recommendation. You can, of course, still go for Konsa, Mikalenko, Branthwaite, Kyle Walker, Tarkovsky. They're all good options too. I'm probably forgetting a few others as well in other positions. Even Joe Gomez could be a nice like-for-like Liverpool replacement, or Kanate, Van Dijk even. But you know what? I'd probably go for Zinchenko or Gabriel. Play Borro or Richarlison. Richarlison, yeah. I don't think he'll play against Everton. Try not to spam the chat, please. Should I transfer Trippier out for Trent? Look, I think Trent is a better option right now. The transfer would pay off, but I wouldn't sell Trippier this week. I'd rather sell a Tsimikas, a Cash, or Lascelles. You know, one of those cheaper defenders who are out. Go to Trent that way, keeping Trippier. I think that's for those that have Trippier and Trent this week, I think they have a massive advantage. Then, in Game Week 20, when Newcastle have those tough games I keep on talking about, you can then sell Kieran Trippier whilst keeping Trent, and that could be your way in terms of buying Erling Haaland back. So I think that's the way I would navigate it if I had Trippier right now and I wanted to go to Trent Alexander-Arnold. Did Hwang to Richarlison yesterday to beat the price rise? Thoughts? Yeah, I think Richarlison's a good long-term option. It's very rare for me to say something like that. So yeah, I think that's absolutely fine. Haaland out, says Yusuf. Let me know where you got that from. That'd be greatly appreciated. No, Raja, but let's put it into context. He's out for the Nottingham Forest game where Newcastle have a good chance of a clean sheet. Then he faces Man City, Liverpool and Aston Villa back-to-back. Not in that order, but still. They face those three teams. And Lascelles will probably not be in the starting 11 anytime soon because Botman, Fabian Schär are available at this moment in time. You've got Dan Burn on the left, Trippier on the right. So I just don't really think Lascelles will get back into that team anytime soon anyway. Captain Trent or Solanke? You know what? I'd probably go for Trent out of the two. Salah, Son, Trent, Solanke, Saka is my top 5 in order. One free transfer with my 11 sorted. Do I sell Lascelles? And if so, for who? Yeah, I mean, Lascelles will probably not play today, according to reliable sources. I didn't expect him to anyway, even if he's fit. So who do you go to? I don't know what your team is, Adil, to be honest, but you know, you kind of get a good impression of what I recommend. You know, Trent, Saliba, Zinchenko, Borro, they'd be my favourite replacements. Burn or Botman are absolutely fine as well. My defence is Borro, Trent, Powell, Saliba and Senesi. I have 2 free transfers, 0 million. Who should I upgrade? Despite his good form recently, I'd upgrade Senesi. And to be fair, actually, with Pau Torres being an injury doubt and facing Man United, you can always sell him as well. Yeah, I think Pau or Senesi, sorry, would be the ones I'd look to sell. What I'd probably do is Pau Torres to Botman or Burn. I think that's the way to go. Hey, Dylan, thanks in advance for your answer. Bench 1, Saliba, Gabriel or Borro. I'd bench Gabriel. Don't you think Nottingham Forest is getting something this week after they failed their managerial bounce last game week? I mean, it's a difficult one to say because, yeah, they failed in terms of the result, but they were down to 10 men. I think Nottingham Forest were robbed in that game. The red card was complete BS. I also think they should have had a penalty, I think it was. So they're right to feel aggrieved. I still think they put in a good performance. They were unlucky to lose at the end. I think Newcastle will still keep a clean sheet. It's at St James's Park where Newcastle are 2nd or 3rd in the league table. Only 1 loss all season to Liverpool. So I still back them to do well there. Salah blank, I see it. Popular captains blank, like ice cream falling off. You know what? I might have to set a precedent. So if Salah blanks here and I captain him, I might, maybe not never again, but I'd be very tempted from now on to go for the differential captain and just go for the Trents of this world, Solankes and Sakas and whatever it may be. But look, there's no right or wrong formula. I think sometimes it's just down to the way things pan out, you know. A lot of times when you expect something to happen, it just doesn't pan out that way. So, yeah, I just really hope for the best here with Salah. I think it will really make us reconsider our captaincy options from now on. And maybe it should have already, because there are so many examples this season, at least 10. And when will we learn? Maybe I'll never learn, to be honest. Hopefully not, Yusuf. Hopefully not. Got a massive benching headache. Archer or Douglas Luiz? Yeah, I think I'd go for Douglas Luiz. Also a bit of a differential this week. He's on penalties. And you'd back Man United to struggle in that game. I think Aston Villa will score. Lascelles out until next Botman injury. Yeah, I completely agree. That's why he's a sell. So is Matty Cash, but unfortunately I had Tsimikas as well, so I couldn't make that transfer. Johnson or Richarlison? I'd go for Richarlison. Adnan says bench 1. I'd probably bench... You know what? I'd bench Konsa out of the 3. Do I start Neto the goalkeeper or Areola? Neto. Gordon captain. He's in my top 10. Good differential shout. Probably the best from the Newcastle game alongside Trippier. Who should I buy for defender at 7.8 million or below? Look, for a 1-week punt, Trippier looks amazing. But I think if I'm buying a defender now, looking long-term, it would be Saliba, Zinchenko, or Pedro Porro. My favourites would be Saliba or Zinchenko. Thank you, Rania, for the super chat. Hi, Dylan. My current 11, Dubravka, Trent, Porro, Senesi, Son, Salah captain, Bowen, Gordon, Semenyo, Watkins, Solanke, bench, Leno, Palmer, Pau Torres, and Mikalenko. 2 free transfers, 1.7 million in the bank. Moves 11 and bench order, please. Okay. I think your starting 11 is fine as it is. I mean, you got Mikalenko at home to Man City. They're not going to keep a clean sheet, you'd think. I think the goalkeeper's absolutely fine the way they're arranged. In terms of transfers, this is where things get interesting. 1.7 million in the bank. Semenyo, yeah, tricky. I'd be tempted to sell Pau Torres, and I'd go to a Zinchenko or Saliba, Aranya. If I were to make a transfer this week, yeah, that's what I'd do. Pau Torres to an Arsenal defender, and ideally, if you want someone just long-term, set and forget Saliba for the next month or so, up until February, Zinchenko, higher ceiling, more bonus points. But yeah, I'd say Saliba in for Pau Torres, and you're good to go there, mate. I think that's the way to go. And you can start Saliba over Semenyo this week. Of course, you might back Semenyo to do well, and that's fair enough. Should I take 8-point hits? Who are you selling? Who are you buying? Let me know, and I'll give you my thoughts on that, but difficult for me to say without knowing the context. Alexander says, would you bench Archer or Zinchenko? I'd bench Archer. Sell Lascelles or cash, says Raja. I'd rather sell cash. He's a bit more expensive. He's not the first choice right back anymore. And to be fair, Lascelles will not be first choice from now on as well. And Newcastle have poor fixtures. So it's a good question. I think it's not an easy one to answer. But in terms of money as well, I think cash is the one to sell. Start 3, Bodrot, Saliba, Burn, Trent and Senesi. Trent should not be in discussion. He has to start, in my opinion. I'd go for Burn as well. And the third option, interesting. That is very interesting. I'd probably go for Saliba. Play Konsa or Lascelles to Trent for free. Lascelles to Trent for free. I don't mind Konsa that much this week, but I'll go for Trent. Do Lascelles to Bodro or Walker? Bodro. Bring in Hwang Hee-chan or Iwobi. Should I start the... I'm guessing that's the transfer instead of Nunez? No. I wouldn't bench Nunez this week if I had him. In terms of who I would go for, well, I wouldn't buy Hwang Hee-chan. I like him as an option overall, but he's going to be off to the Asian Cup in Gameweek 21. So don't go for these players like Kudus, who, look, I have to say, Kudus is one of the best FPL midfielders right now, but you're going to be selling him in 2 weeks' time anyway. So yeah, I'd just start Darwin in any case. I'd probably just keep what you have. Sell Cash or Tsimikas. Tsimikas, because he's out until March, it looks like. Taking out Haaland to fund Trent. Tricky one, because you might want Haaland back next week, so let's wait and see. Already have Watkins, Solanke. Who else to go for? Nkuku. I think this is a great chance for you to go different, and I'd go for Nkuku, the man in the thumbnail. Turner to Dubravka for a -4. If not, should I play Areola or Turner? Not worth a -4 because Dubravka plays Liverpool, Man City and Aston Villa back-to-back, and I don't see clean sheets there. So, yeah, I don't think I'd go for that. Sam says Trippier plus Adebayo will be -4 next week to bring in Haaland and Bowen, or Gusto plus Walker, Haaland plus Bowen next week for free. I'd rather go for the last move, Gusto and Walker. I do like Trippier a lot for this week. He could get you a lot of points, maybe even up to 12, but I don't see many returns for Newcastle defenders between game weeks 20 and 22. Cash and Diaby to Gabriel and Saka for a -4, says Raja. Yes. I'd go for it. I think that should pay off regardless. Why Badiashile over Gabriel? Well, West Ham is a much more difficult game than Crystal Palace, in my opinion. And I also think with Arsenal, They have improved a little bit this season in terms of clean sheets at home, but it has been a trend since the beginning of last season where Arsenal tend to keep more clean sheets away from home. And in home matches, they're a bit more attacking. They kind of leak more chances and concede more goals. So they can be a bit frustrating to own. There are many occasions where Arsenal concede just one goal, and that's enough to wipe out the clean sheet. It's up to you. I don't really mind either way. Overall, I think Arsenal have a better defence, better team, all that. But this week, I'd be tempted by Badiashile over Gabriel. And it's also a differential. 50 minutes to lock in. Yeah, time flies, honestly. Now 14 minutes is absolutely crazy. Got 4.4 million to spend. I'm thinking Lascelles to Gusto for a -4. What do you think? I'd only do that if you have no bench cover, which, to be fair, a lot of us don't this week. I've got absolutely nobody. Lascelles is out. Palmer and Cash are suspended. So yeah, I'll be honest. I don't think Gusto is a great option. I'd rather go for Borro, Saliba, Zinchenko, Trent, but not a bad shout. Who should I bring in for Wilson? Pascal Gross will be a shout for me. Also Gordon for this week. Just depends. I don't know what your midfield is, but I think Pascal Gross is a great choice. Burnley failed to score against City, Man United, Palace and Everton at home. Oh yeah, I don't know why I thought they scored. Yeah, I think they lost 3-0 against Man City, didn't they? Scored versus Chelsea, Spurs, Villa, West Ham and Sheffield United. Trent over Salah or too risky? No, that's a great shout to Stupaki, and like I said earlier, I think it was to Sing. There are several arguments as to why Trent is a great captaincy option this week. 1, he's outscored Salah since Game Week 8. 2, Salah doesn't have a good Premier League record against Burnley. But bear in mind, to give a bit of context, it was Sean Dyche's Burnley. This is a completely different team structure, which could favour the likes of Salah now. The third reason why is, well, as you say, there's also the added bonus of the clean sheets. You know, Salah will only get 1 point for that, whilst Trent will get 4. And if Trent keeps a clean sheet, he's got a great chance of bonus points. Speaking of which, I just think bonus points in general is something that Trent has over Salah. Not by much, but he does have it nonetheless. Play Bowen or Archer? I'd go for Bowen. Isak, Jesus or Nkuku? Nkuku's my favourite longer term. Best Villa defender? It would be Pau Torres, but of course he's still a doubt. Probably Konsa. Do you think Elise is a good option? He's okay. I mean, I'm very reticent with these Aston Villa... Sorry, I just saw an Aston Villa predicted lineup. With these Crystal Palace attackers, Eze's my favourite, then it's probably Elise. And of course, Elise is on penalties when Eze's not on the pitch, but yeah, I think there are much better options, sorry, from other teams like Gordon, Pascal Gross, Wang Hee-chan when he's available from the Asian Cup, of course, Kudus, Bowen, Saka, Odegaard. You kind of get my drift here. So much football today, yes. I'm not sure if I'll watch every single game, but I could. I've got Amazon Prime. Weird flex. I don't know why Semenyo is not returning points more often. With Solanke up front, you'd expect him to return a few points every now and then. I might just take a punt on him and bench Saliba. Yeah, that's absolutely fair enough. I think Semenyo was quite close to opening the scoring for Bournemouth the other day against Nottingham Forest. Semenyo is off to the African Cup of Nations in Game Week 21, so be aware of that, Aranya. What's your plan for Haaland again? It's all covered in the team selection video. I can bring in Haaland for Solanke, which is an ideal, and sell Salah to a Pascal Gross, a Gordon, another midfielder. A Richarlison probably is the most likely one. And that will be for a -4 hit. And I can always bring Solanke back in the following week for free. So, yeah, it's just a question of timing and stuff. But yeah, I think that's pretty much my best route to Haaland. I might just go without him until Game Week 21 and stomach it. Bench 1, Colwill, Garnacho or Borro. I would bench Garnacho. Yeah, I'd bench Garnacho. Borro and Zinchenko or Trippier and Taylor, says Afnan. Borro and Zinchenko. Can't afford Trent, best Tsimikas replacement. Saliba, Zinchenko or Borro. My favourite will be an Arsenal defender. Haaland to Nkuku and Lascelles to Arnold. Yes, I like that, but just bear in mind you might want Haaland back next week and you might need to take a -4 hit for it. So the timing might be a little bit off, or, you know, of course I did the same moves or similar moves last week or very recently. But yeah, I'd probably do it, to be honest. Spend my money on Arnold or keep it for Haaland? I did answer this question already, mate. And I did say the way you phrased it, you know, if you really want Haaland back next week, just keep Haaland and prevent those -4 hits and transfers, to be fair. But yeah, my personal preference is getting Arnold. You know, looking at the now, you can always buy Haaland another way anyway. So it's completely up to you. But my personal preference is to buy Trent. Captain Trent says Nick N. Gusto for 1 week punt before wildcard. Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad shout. I do prefer other defenders, but a clean sheet is possible against Palace. I personally think the Eagles will score, but it's not a bad shout. Why do you prefer Bone to Archer? 11 goals this season, 15 big chances. He's one of the most consistent FPL assets, period. Over 100 FPL points. He scored against Arsenal in the Carabao Cup earlier this season. Also won a penalty, I think, at the Emirates last season. Scored against them in the reverse fixture. Bowen has a good record against the Gunners, so yeah, I just wouldn't want to bench him in most cases. We do have less than 9 minutes to go, so let's be sure to rack up the likes and get this stream to over 200. It would be massively appreciated, to say the least. Lascelles to Gusto this week, or roll for 2 free transfers next game week? I'd roll, ideally, if you've got a full 11 that you're happy with. Does Salah leave in Game Week 21? He leaves in Game Week 21, yes. And he could be out until Game Week 24 or 25. Any important news? Just like Lascelles is out, according to NUFC Will, who tends to be reliable with Newcastle news. I am risking it with double defenders for Arsenal. Could be a nice differential, though, to be fair. Can't afford Trent, best Tsimikas replacement. We have covered. Arsenal defender or Borro. Take your pick. My preference would be Saliba or Zinchenko. I have Diaby and Konsa. Should I bench both or play one or transfer someone for Diaby? That's a difficult one. I don't know the context of your team. Who would you bench them for? I don't mind playing them this week. It's not the best on paper. Old Trafford is still Old Trafford. But I'd probably transfer Diaby out for someone like Gordon, Pascal Gross. There's a few options you can go to that I've mentioned throughout the stream. I'd go for Turner there. Don't think either will do well. Gusto, Chelsea defender, or Konsa, Villa defender for this week, Dylan? It would be a Chelsea defender or Gusto. Less than 10 minutes to lock, exactly. Start Konsa or Gusto? Gusto. Would you sell Saka and Archer for Richarlison and Solanke, 2 free transfers? Good moves overall, but selling Saka, I don't know. I might be a bit stubborn, but I genuinely back Saka to do well in the next month or so. And until the end of the season, you know, I think you'll be in the top 3-4 highest scoring midfielders. Nkuku, Jesus, or Alvarez. Nkuku. Archer to Nkuku for a few weeks punt, says King Kai. Yeah, I'm absolutely on board with that. Baldock start, I think so. Start Archer or buy Trent. Buy Trent. Captain Gordon, good luck. Please sell Richarlison or Lascelles. Why sell Richarlison? Sell Lascelles. I'd rather sell him, especially if you can go to Trent. I've covered this, mate. I literally covered it like to death 10 plus times. I'd go for Turner this week, but I don't think any will do well. Just seen a team with 0 chips used and 0 transfers ranked 2.7k in the world. I should have just not, you know, quit the videos. Just leave my team like it is and I'd be doing better. Bench order for Lascelles, Archer and Gay. Well, Archer will be first, Gay second. Lascelles will probably not play at all. I'd back the source that said that he's out, and I personally don't think he'll start anyway. Yeah, relax and zen. I literally answered your question already. I highlighted it. I answered the questions before. I'm sorry, mate, but you're timed out. Start Watkins or Darwin Nunez. I'd go for Watkins still, but Darwin shouldn't be benched this week, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree, Punjabi. Luis is still a decent shout. Mabama to Solanke for a -4. Yeah, I'd do it. Archer or Borro. I'd go for Pedro Borro. Is it worth transferring out? You know what, actually, Arthur? I'd probably go for Archer. Is it worth transferring out Taylor for a -4 if I have no subs? Yes, because Taylor against Liverpool doesn't look great, and long term the move will pay off. My forwards are in Nkuku, Watkins, and Solanke. Yeah, it looks good, but trust me, by Friday I'll be crying. Well, when Haaland returns, that's the only issue for you. Yeah, I bought in Trent for Tsimikas. Start 1, Gabriel, Bailey, Hwang. I would go for... You know what? I mean, Bailey's in good form. Unlucky to have his goal chalked off the other day as well, but yeah, I'd go for Bailey. Best defender at 5.3 million, not an Arsenal or Newcastle. And Pedro Porro also doesn't qualify for that. He's a bit more expensive. I would go for... Based on fixtures, I think I'd probably just go for Gusto or Colwill. And of course, you can go for Walker as well, I think. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we have covered the Turner Areola question. Turner is my answer. I don't think any will do well. I'm not going to go through that again because I'm not going to lie, it does get a bit repetitive. Start Nunez, Colwill or Gabriel. I'd start Nunez. Leno, Walker, Trippier, Trent, Gabriel, Saka, Son, Salah, Richarlison, Alvarez, Watkins on the bench, Archer. Would you play or leave team as it is? Yeah, who would you play Archer over? Maybe Kyle Walker or Gabriel? Yeah, I think I'd leave it as it is, but if I were to make a move, it's probably Archer for Gabriel. 5 minutes to lock in. Yep. Should I buy Borro or Zinchenko? I would buy Zinchenko. Bench Gabriel or Pedro Borro? I think Arsenal have a slightly higher chance of a clean sheet, but Pedro Porro has the attacking potential, so I'd favour the Spaniard. I'd go for Porro. Yeah, that question, like I said, it's been rinsed to death, I'm not going to lie, so just, you know my answer. Start console Archer. Archer. Start 2, Porro, Colwill, Gabriel. I would go for Porro and Colwill. Salah to Richarlison and Nunez to Haaland? No, don't do it this week, especially because Haaland might not even play. It's not worth selling Salah when he's facing Burnley this week. Awali says my team. Yeah, absolutely fine. Taylor's the only problem there. Everything else looks really good. I would go for Borro, as I mentioned earlier. Thank you, Ruben, for moderating the chat. That was just excessive spamming. Botman starts. Yes, I'd be very confident of that. Bench 2. I would bench Taylor and Udogi. Start 2. Borro, Burn, Archer. I'd start Burn and probably Archer. Yeah, I'll probably stick with that now. Share or Borro, says Pierre. Share this week. Lascelles replacement, anyone please? Like I said, Burn or Botman as a like-for-like, absolutely fine. For a similar price, you can go for Branthwaite long-term. There's quite a few options you can go to. Even Gomez for Liverpool. I don't know your defenders, though, and I've mentioned a lot of defenders in the stream. Yeah, that's absolutely fine, Neff. If it's for next game week, I'm looking at something similar. Yeah, it's okay to captain Saka, but just bear in mind, 1 goal in his last 11 Premier League games, not good enough. KDB, I don't think will be back. I don't think he'll start anyway. He will return in a matter of weeks, of course, but I would very much be surprised if he started against Everton. Start 3, Gabriel, Taylor, Borro, Pau, and Pinnock. Borro, Gabriel, and Pinnock. Salah captain. That's what I'm doing. We've literally got less than 3 minutes. I don't think I'll change it. I think the only players I'd consider going to would be Son, Trent, and Solanke. Saka as well will be a consideration, but he's a bit lower down in that list for me. How bad have Luton been away from home? Might influence whether I start Archer over Diaz. Let's bring that up. I'm going to have a look. We also have 14. We just need 14 more likes to get to 200. Let's be sure to smash that by the end of the stream. It'd be massively appreciated. We hit 22,000 subscribers yesterday. So thank you very much to all the subscribers, channel members, patrons, those that send in super chats. I'll be going through the one that was sent in just now. Just having a quick look at the away record, just to give you an exact parameter. Luton are 19th in the league table away from home. They've got 1 win, 1 draw, 6 losses, 7 goals scored, 18 conceded, 4 Premier League points. Only Sheffield United have less in the entire division. In terms of home records, Sheffield United are in the bottom 3 though, so it's not much better, but 2 wins, 1 draw, 6 losses. I'm personally favouring Sheffield United in this matchup. I could be wrong, but yeah, they are pretty awful to say the least, and that's why I'm starting Archer. So thank you for the super chat there, Aranya. Start Senesi versus Fulham or Gabriel versus West Ham. It's a tricky one because Fulham have been in good form recently, but the wheels have started to fall off a little bit when they lost 3-0 to Newcastle, and they were a bit unfortunate with refereeing decisions as well. Not the red card, but yeah. I'd probably go for Senesi based on the fixture and also the differential side of it. I'd go for Senesi, but yeah, honestly, in terms of my predictions, I think both Fulham and Arsenal concede. Doug, so he's not Diaz, says Goldhead. Fair enough. Captain who? Salah, Trent, Son, Solanke, Saka would be my top 5. Gordon's another really good shout, but my favourites would be Salah, Son, and Trent. That's my top 3 this week. Thank you, Junior. Take a -8 this week. Who are you selling? Who are you buying? I can't really say is it worth it or not when I don't know the context. Yeah, apologies if I accidentally timed you out, or if a moderator did so. Captain Salah and Son vice captain. That's what I'm doing right now. Yeah. Lascelles out. Yeah, according to NUFC Will, that's what he said earlier, and we covered it already. So, yeah, I'm not sure where you got that from. Yeah, and also FPL Tony hasn't got any official news, but he does believe that Haaland won't be available. Yeah, we are locked in now. That is it. We are all locked in. Start Archer or Colwill. That was a difficult one. I probably would have gone for Archer. Who would you start? Konsa or Pinnock? Konsa. Yeah, I think I'd... Yeah, I think I would have gone for Pinnock. Start Onana or Pickford? Oh, that's a tricky one. Probably Onana. Should I captain Trent? I mean, it's too late now, but yeah, he's in my top 3 captaincy options, as I mentioned throughout the whole stream, so I'm not against that at all. Ended up going Trent captain, Salah vice captain. Nice stuff. Start Bowen or Zinchenko, says Aaron. I would rather start Bowen. Good luck, Dylan. Decided to captain Trent. Good luck, mate. I hope they both do well. I wouldn't mind if they both got the same score, 12 plus points. Here we go. Solanke masterclass this week. I also wouldn't mind that, even though I didn't captain him. Start Borro or Pinnock. Borro. I took a -4 for Cash to Gabriel. I had no bench, says Ray. Yeah, long term that move will pay off. Cash is useless. You should be happy. Come on, guys, smash the likes and subscribe. Let's get this stream to 200 likes. Thank you. And we have now, so thank you for that. We now have 205 likes. And we've had 150 plus viewers throughout most of the stream. So thank you very much. Yes, indeed, we are locked in. I believe Gusto will start there, new plays, but let's wait and see. Evans or Tarkovsky in the FPL 11. Evans, I guess. Changed my mind last minute. Archer starts with a Douglas. Good luck, mate. I mean, yeah, Archer, better fixture. Douglas Luiz, of course, penalties, high potential of bonus points, can get goals or assists. Very good player. Arsenal are linked to him for many years now. Yeah, it's a tricky one, I think. I said Douglas Luiz earlier, but I think you might have made the right call. It's so difficult to call that one. Sometimes they are literally 50-50 calls, and just flick a coin and leave it be. Lockmate, deadline was 11. I know that. Don't worry. I know that. Last minute, I've gone Salah to Trent. Good luck, Twister Parky. I've seen a lot of people do that. So predictions, yeah, you're right. Let's go through my score predictions for the games today. Newcastle versus Nottingham Forest. I've gone for 2-0 to Newcastle United. Bournemouth versus Fulham. I've gone for 2-1 Bournemouth. Sheffield United against Luton Town. I've gone for 1-0, and hopefully that's a Cameron Archer goal and 3 bonus points. Burnley Liverpool. I've gone for 3-0 to the Reds. Liverpool to win quite comprehensively. Man United against Aston Villa. Oof. I'm going for 1-1. Aston Villa are the better team, but a bit suspect on their travels. Kamara will be back from suspension, but Pau Torres is a doubt. Man United have been awful, haven't scored in the last 4 games across all competitions, but I think they'll get a draw here. Brentford against Wolves. I can't remember what I went for. I'll be honest, I can't remember. So I'm going to refer back to the Discord server and see what I put in the chat. I think I went for 2-1 Brentford. I think that's what I went for. So if I just double check this here. Predictions. Yeah, I went for 2-1 Brentford. Chelsea Palace, I've gone for 1-1. To be fair though, Chelsea historically have a great record against Palace, and that's something that should be considered. So I might change that to a Chelsea win. Everton Man City, I'm going for a narrow Man City victory, 2-1. Brighton versus Spurs, 2-2. And Arsenal West Ham, 3-1 to the Gunners, just like last season on Boxing Day. Of course, this time round, it will be on the 28th of December. So those are my predictions. And on screen now, you can see my team. Lascelles, it looks like he is out. That is confirmed, it seems to be. Obviously, Cash and Palmer are suspended. I can't wait to get rid of Cash, but there's always something else that pops along, and he survives like a cockroach, as they say. At least I think I hit save. Well, either way, should be a good captain. Fingers crossed. Marcus says Lascelles replacement from Gameweek 20 up to 4.7 million. Already I've got the Bravka looking at Everton, Palace, Villa, West Ham, and the Wolves defence. I'd personally go for an Everton defender out of those lot. So I would probably go for Mikalenko or Tarkovsky. Went with Senesi instead of Gabriel. Even I felt the fixture made more sense. And I'm also backing Bowen to return. Exactly. So it makes complete sense. Predictions we've gone through. Captain Solanke. Good luck, mate. I wish you the best. United. United. It is sad, honestly. Yeah, look, I'll be honest. Growing up, I enjoyed the rivalry between Arsenal and Man United. It was probably the best Premier League rivalry, in my opinion. And yeah, I wouldn't say it's a love-hate relationship. It's just hate, but yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you and say, oh, it gets tiring seeing Man United suffer, because it doesn't, and I'm sure Man United fans will say the same when Arsenal or any other rival suffer as well. It's just part of football. It cycles. Man United will be back. It's just a matter of when. Might take some time, but hopefully not. Thanks, Dylan. All the best. Thank you, Clifford. Thank you very much. How can I improve with one transfer, says Miguel. Goalkeeper Dubravka, Turner. Defender Senesi, Gabriel Dallo, Taylor, Lascelles, Saka, Son, Salah, Gordon, Palmer. Yeah, well, the deadline has gone, mate. So if I'm breaking the news to you, I apologize. But when I'm looking at your team, Dallo, Taylor, Lascelles, I think your defense needs bolstering. It really does. Trent, even Saliba, Pedro Porro, Mikalenko. There's a lot of options you can go to in the defense. Your midfield's quite good, but in a couple of weeks' time, you will have some big issues with Son and Salah going off to the African Cup of Nations and the Asian Cup. Your forward line is fine for now, to be honest, and if Haaland's back very soon, you're good. But I think you're in a bit of trouble this week, to be fair. With Palmer suspended, Haaland is likely not going to play, and then you've got a few issues, I think, at the back. But yeah, overall, you need to bolster the midfield when the time comes, but the priority at this moment in time is defence, and I would look to upgrade the likes of Taylor especially and Lascelles. If Liverpool reach the Carabao Cup final, what week would Salah be back? Well, Salah's going to make it in time anyway. If Liverpool reach the Carabao Cup final, Liverpool will blank in Game Week 26. The same goes for Chelsea, should they reach the Carabao Cup final. So that could be an issue as well. And that's why selling Salah in Game Week 20 or 21 and buying him back in Game Week 27 could be the play. But Liverpool could also blank in Game Week 29 should they beat Arsenal in the FA Cup and reach the quarterfinals, I think it is. So, yeah, it's all circumstantial. But basically, with Salah, we could be looking at selling him in Game Week 20 or 21 and buying him back in Game Week 27. Omar says, I did Palmer to Richarlison and Lascelles to Botman. What a mistake. I had to bench Watkins this week. Not sure about that one, mate. I'm not, but I wish you the best. I think Richarlison and Botman are good transfers, but benching Watkins, not too sure. Did Tsimikas to Trent the only thing I'm happy about, says Omara. Yeah, no, that looks good. That definitely does. Punch the likes, people. Make it a knockout. It's Boxing Day. Thank you very much. The main reason is I'm trying to protect my rank. Most have started Archer and he has a better fixture. Yeah, fair enough. That's understandable. That does play a part sometimes in terms of where your rank is. The problem is in Liverpool game, gonna squeeze but the whole game. Yeah, look, I still back Salah to do really well. That's why I captain him. But I'm not gonna lie to you. In the back of my mind, I keep thinking about the most popular options flopping pretty much every single week. Thank you, Wally. I appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed the Christmas holidays and the New Year. I wish you the best for you and your family. Best goalkeeper for the next 5 game weeks, David Raya, probably. The only bad thing is that Raya plays Liverpool away in Game Week 23, I think it is. Thank you, Nick N. Got Trent for Tsimikas because of your input. Yeah, look, it's going to be a popular option in general. I'm pretty sure it's been talked to death on Twitter, on YouTube in general. But look, I'll be honest, at this moment in time, for the last year or two, I don't watch any FPL content, even with teams. The only teams I see is what people put in the live chat, in the comment section, in the Discord server and stuff like that. And Trent in for Tsimikas seems like a no-brainer. And I have recommended some alternatives as well, like Botman and Burn, similarly priced choices to Tsimikas. Is the Man City double confirmed? I don't think so, no. If it got confirmed now, I wouldn't be aware. But before the stream aired, there was no confirmation of it. But there should be a double gaming very soon. It's just a matter of when. I think it will be before Game Week 29. I think the Premier League are looking to prioritise this double gaming between Man City and Brentford earlier than the Luton Town Bournemouth game, which is also going to be another double. Thanks, Dylan, and good luck. Likewise, Kent. I'm a United fan. I honestly think SJR could improve us a lot if we just fix our whole transfer system. Yeah, that's the main issue. Your transfers, there's been a lot of flops, a lot of... I'm not sure about lack of planning. Maybe the plan itself just isn't good enough. But yeah, I think the transfers need to improve for sure. Welcome, Beardy. Good to see you. Was tempted to do Tsimikas to Trent, but rolled instead to prepare for Haaland news for the weekend. That's fair enough. Thank you, Punjabi. Enjoy Boxing Day as well. Nick N puts his team. Good stuff. It's looking pretty decent this week. Of course, there could be some issues in the long term. I'm not a big fan of Zuma. but then again, you don't have Areola, so it's not too shabby. Lascelles would be a sell, I think, very soon. McTominay, I know he comes up with the odd important goal for Man United, but still not there yet. Thank you, Miguel. I appreciate it and enjoy it, you know. Portugal might not be the sunniest at this time of year, but still much better weather than the UK. I've actually never been to Portugal, but that could change very soon. Thank you, Amara. Season's greetings to you as well. I have my wildcard available. Can I use it for Gameweek 20? Yes, you can use it in Gameweek 20. Make sure to use it, even if it's just to make a few transfers. It could prevent some hits being taken, so you're in a good position. Isak is starting, says Ronald. Yeah, I was asked about him earlier, and I did say to people I'd keep him and then sell for Gameweek 21. Why not captain Trent? I don't know. I just backed Salah to score more points, I guess, which might be boring, but that's just the way I think. Newcastle 3-0, Bournemouth 2-1, Sheffield United 1-1, 0-0 Liverpool. Wow, that is a big shout. 1-0 Villa, 1-1 Brentford, 2-1 Palace, as Chelsea, no Palmer or Sterling. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Palace took all points, but like maybe I look a bit too much into it, but Palace tend to struggle against Chelsea. Then again, they haven't played this Chelsea too often in recent years. Best free options to transfer in when Salah is out. Already got Bowen, Palmer, and Saka. I would say Odegaard, Richarlison, and Pascal Gross. Those would be three of the best. I decided to roll the transfer and hope Haaland starts. Good luck, R. Kelly. I'm not so sure. Maybe I shouldn't say the name out loud, by the way. Sorry, police. But yeah, fair enough. You know, if he does start or he's in the squad this week, you know, that's still you're looking good for Gameweek 20 at least. First time since Gameweek 8, I didn't make a transfer. Wow. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, yeah, you might have had good squad depth anyway to kind of deal with that. Captain Isak to chase rank as well. Good luck. Colwell or Mateta to start. I would have gone for Colwell. Merry Christmas to you as well. R. I'll call you R. Well, I'll just call you Kelly. Good luck, Kelly. I deadened my team into this week to use my first wildcard next week. I hope it's not too late. My rank is about 55k. Good stuff. Had no need to use it earlier. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. That's fair enough. Dylan to the world. Thank you, Amara. Yeah, there's people from Portugal, Colombia, Nepal. I mean, I run out of countries, really. Fun fact, Salah hasn't scored against Burnley since 2017. I think he's only got one goal against them, so yeah, it's not too surprising for me. I went Solanke captain. Don't worry, Salah. Salah will haul now, now that I've said that. Yeah, and look, it's a different complexion, in my opinion. I always look at records. You know, a lot of times last season, I'd be like, oh, Harry Kane has a great record against Southampton and blah. And look, that is just one factor of many when you decide your captain. But yeah, the way Burnley played under Sean Dyche is completely different to this Vincent Kompany, you know, structure. So yeah, I'd still back him to do well. Yeah, Udogie should start. He's now back from suspension. FPL this season has been extremely luck-based. To be honest, you're right, but it's always been like that, in my opinion. They really need to add some rules from Champions League and Bundesliga fantasy. I agree with that, definitely. Overall, you know, I'm completely in agreement on what you say, but I also think FPL is always a bit luck-based. The same goes for any fantasy game. What's the name of your league? It's called Dylan RCM. It should still work, mate. It should still work. I'm not sure why. Yeah, if you just use the link in the description below, it should work. I'll have a look. I'm not sure why it's not. Let's actually use it. 7EG67U is the league code. So let me actually... I don't think it will work now, though, is it? Because the game is updating. Yeah, for Christ's sake. Yeah, that's probably why. You can't join at this moment in time because the FPL is updating with the deadline. So maybe in an hour's time, be sure to join back. I'm pretty sure all the links are updated in FPL. In my description, in the channel, I've got a lot of links. I've got a link tree as well with all the links there that you need. I'm fairly sure you're able to do it. So yeah, check back in an hour's time and it should be fine. By the way, in this stream, we made a lot of progress in terms of subscribers. We're now close to 22,100 already. So thank you to those that have been subscribing over the past day. A huge shout out goes to those that have been long-time viewers of the channel. You're much appreciated. All the super chatters, the patrons and channel members as well are much appreciated. We got to over 220 likes. Maybe can we do one last push to 250 plus? It'd be greatly appreciated. Just keep on smashing the like button. It's obviously, like I say, I do thank you for it. How was your Christmas, Dylan? Very good. Spent it with family, watching films and shows, comedies. And yeah, also having some kind of alone time. You know, I was watching Fargo yesterday, finally. I watched the show, but not the film from start to finish. I like Steve Buscemi a lot. Also, the actress Frances, I can't remember the surname, something, but yeah, she's very good. It's a great film. I do like those sort of kind of old school 90s, 2000s films, and of course, I love 70s and 80s films as well. Yeah, I had a great time. Hopefully, you did as well. What's one player who you just don't like? Cash excluded. Watkins, because when I captain him, he's useless. When I face someone in a mini league, in a head-to-head kind of battle, Watkins gets a hat-trick of assists and he, allows my friend to win. Also, when I sell him, he gets 30-plus points in 2 game weeks, so Watkins would be up there. Yeah, I did Wasting. I already put my predictions in the Discord server. I did it yesterday. Dylan, Merry Christmas, mate. Likewise, John. Oops, sorry, that should be Burnley 3-0. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I was going like, what? 0-0? That's a big shout. Hey, Dylan, post some Christmas pics on your Christmas handle. Maybe. I kind of post more stuff on Instagram in terms of personal stuff. On Twitter, I kind of keep it to football, FPL, complaining about refs and all that jazz. South Africa, says Arthur. That's what I mean. It's people from everywhere. It's absolutely crazy. I don't know where you heard that, Ronald. If he does, I think the likes of Arsenal and Liverpool will be a bit concerned. I captain Trent. Good luck. Definitely need a water break now. Took a -4 for suspended Fulham. Forward to Nkuku. Now use have to me doubt Chelsea. Yeah. Jimenez is just a sell anyway. I talked about skipping him after he scored that brace against West Ham. He's just not good. Yeah, absolutely fine. Nkuku should be an upgrade. Well, he will be. Haaland start? I don't think so. RCM is just my initials, and also, kind of family names, basically. It's basically a mix of that. Have you tried Pookie? I haven't tried it, to be honest. I got Nkuku in for me, willing to take the risk. I got Watkins and Solanke. What a trio. Oh, yeah. Apart from Haaland, that is the best trio in the game right now in the forward line. Thank you, Beardy. Captain Gordon this week as a differential. He's been good at home. Well, you can't captain him now because the deadline has passed, but he was in my top 10 list. Is he my top 5? No, but he can still haul. I think he will return, so it's a good shout. Is Senesi a good differential? He's okay. He's the best Bournemouth defender, but I'm not a big fan of Bournemouth defensively. I'd rather go for their attackers, especially Solanke. Abdi Jr. says, Solanke captain and Anana goalkeeper. I like the Solanke pick. I'm not a big fan of Anana. I think Villa will score. But Anana is still up there in terms of points scored amongst goalkeepers. If I won't have enough money to buy Haaland next game week, I would sacrifice buying Salah even before game week to go to... Yeah, look, with Salah, I might have to sell him next week at home to Newcastle, and I'm not a big fan of that, especially for a hit. Yeah, Frances McDormand, that's the one. Yes, that's the one. I didn't know the full surname because I haven't seen much with her in it. But yeah, she was pretty good. Oh, yeah? Everton 1, City 2, 2-2 Spurs. I've also gone for that, and 2-1 Arsenal. Yeah, I've kind of gone for something similar there. I went for 3-1 Arsenal, which, yeah, quite rare. Predictions for today, I went through them already. They're also in the Discord server, so be sure to join that. There's a link in the description, and you can see all the predictions I listed earlier. Thanks for all the analysis. Kind regards from Santa Monica, Caracas in Venezuela. Yeah, I know someone from Caracas. He's a Man City fan. So yeah, you can say hi to him. He's sometimes in the streams. He's got a great channel as well. Be sure to type in AJDC on YouTube, and you'll see a fellow Venezuelan. It was reported that on City Twitter that De Bruyne will start this week. I'm still not too sure about it, to be honest, but let's wait and see. Hi Dylan, I sold Sterling for Mudryk. He's 1% owned, and I captain Jesus. What do you think? Well, I think you're going very differential there. Jesus is a good option. Let me make that very clear, because I said he's a skip yesterday. The reason why I said that is because I think there are better Arsenal attackers, and I also think there are 4 better forwards at the very least, maybe even 5 with Alvarez included. I'm not sure about, not even that. I just dislike Mudryk as an FPL option. I think he's not good. I hope he does well for you in the meantime, but I just don't really back him. As for Jesus, he's a good option. In terms of captaining him, I'm not so sure about it, but I wish you the best. Is the comeback from 2 million possible? Of course, there's not really much to separate the ranks still. Of course, the gaps have increased a little bit compared to early in the season, but yeah, it's still quite tight, I think. Thanks for reading my comment. Just subscribe. Thank you. Keltish, I appreciate that. Best tips for learning Spanish? just like with any language, and I'm not an expert, I only speak 2 languages, but I think watching films, reading books is the best way to do it, even listening to music. But I think the best way to improve in any language is reading books and watching films or any shows, because you kind of get a feeling of the tone, you know, the language, the way they pronounce certain things, and then when reading, you kind of start to piece it together. I think a combination of both is just the best to do it. In terms of books you can read stuff from authors like Fontarosa, also Gabriel Marquez, who's a very popular Colombian writer. So there's a lot of things you could do. There's also another one. It's a really good Argentinian writer. I can't believe I forgot his name. Let me actually write this down. I need to find this. But yeah, there's some really good books. Even sometimes versions of an English book in Spanish. That's what I've done. Borges is the one I was thinking of. Cortázar as well, another good Argentinian writer. So they would be good. There's also, I'm trying to think here. You know, for example, you know, there's a book called The Martian Chronicles, I think it is. The Martian Chronicles. I've read that in Spanish, basically. So I've sometimes done stuff like that. I'm currently reading a book on the history of Argentinian football, which is like 600, 700 pages. It's by Jonathan Wilson, an English journalist, but I'm reading the Spanish version. So yeah, books and films is definitely the one. If you want some films, El Secreto de sus Ojos is a really good one. He actually won the Oscar for the best foreign film. Also Nueve Reinas, because I didn't enunciate that properly. And another one would be Relatos Salvajes, which is Savage Stories, sorry. Relatos Salvajes. Yeah, I'm just trying to get the English names as well. Wild Tales is what it's called. So be sure to check those films out. They're pretty good. They're funny. They've got a bit of Argentinian kind of humor in them as well. We've got a few more messages to go through before we wrap up. It has been a long one, and it's flown by. I didn't even realize time went that quickly in the stream. Trent from -4, still in the cup. Well, the deadline has passed, of course, like I said, but yes, Trent is still worth a -4 in my opinion. Just be careful about taking too many hits in terms of buying Trent for a hit this week, then getting Haaland in next week for a hit or two. Bit late, but hope everyone is well and had a wonderful Christmas. Likewise, Alex, thank you very much for all the support, and I wish you the best in the Christmas holidays. Will you sacrifice Salah to Haaland in Gameweek 20? Potentially. Yes. It's not set in stone, but it's very likely. It all depends on the Haaland updates we get. Well, I speak Spanish at home. My parents are from Argentina, that's why. So I can't really talk about, you know, the best ways to learn Spanish because it was ingrained in me from a young age. But reading books and watching films or shows is the best way for me. And, you know, I'd like to learn another language like Italian or French or stuff like that, and that's the way I'd do it. Of course, there's always lessons and stuff, which is going to accelerate that process. But in terms of what you can do, in terms of naturally improving in a language and learning it, yeah, books, films, shows is definitely the best way to go about it. And I named some good examples in Spanish in terms of books and stuff that you can kind of get into. Any grand plans for New Year's Eve? Not really. I mean, I just tend to chill with family anyway. Sometimes I'll go out with friends, watch some games maybe, or do something else. But I want to say there's a grand plan. Not really. No. Will you come to visit Kenya New Year? In Kenya, no. I mean, I'm not going to visit any country in New Year. Let me just be blunt about it. I mean, I'm just going to stay here. That's what I mean when I was answering Sing's question. I'm just going to stay at home, chill with family. Yeah, of course, there might be a day out or two or something like that, but nothing grand. I'm not going on holiday. It was in the works, but no, nothing is going to happen. And also, there'd be no content if I, went on holiday. So, yeah, don't mean to sound rude, but I'm just not going to go anywhere, unfortunately. The holidays will probably be saved for Easter and next summer, really. So, let's wait and see, of course. But, yeah, it's been a pleasure talking to all of you. We still have over 100 people watching, which is massively appreciated. And we're also close to 250 likes. Be sure to like the video. or the stream, whatever you want to call it, on your way out. And also subscribe to the channel. We got to 22,000 yesterday, a great Christmas present from all of you. Thank you very much. And we also gifted 10 memberships on Christmas Eve. And I think every month now we'll be gifting 10 memberships for free. And yeah, you'll be a differential member and gain access to my videos with early access. That is the key thing. You get early access to all of my videos, sometimes up to a day or so early. Let's see what else we have. I could not read the Martian Chronicles because I was too spaced out at the time. Oh, nice. Here we are, Twisted Parky, with the puns today. Good thing I'm not the only one who hates Watkins. Oh, mate, it's just like kind of a long-standing issue I have with him. Well, I'm a UK resident, let's put it that way, John Hamilton. That's why I've got the British accent. Yeah, I've got double nationality. No flex, I promise. Dylan focused on FPL deadlines and holiday season. That's what I mean. Boring, Dylan. You don't have Magpies in your team. No, I sold Gordon last week. I've got Lascelles on my bench, who's not going to play anyway, it looks like. Thank you, Dominic. I appreciate that. Hasta luego. Thank you, Parim. Cheers, Dylan. Best of luck, matey. Likewise to you, Alex, and everyone else watching. Twisted Parky 06 says, I was going to take out Salah for Haaland next game week, but you're so consistent at home. That's what I mean. But then you've got Haaland at home to Sheffield United. The alarm bells are ringing. Let me put it that way. But yeah, even Son could be the sacrificial lamb for me. There's a few things I could consider. I kind of made my bed and I made it more difficult to buy Haaland back by getting Trent this week. But let's wait and see how it all pans out. I've got a plan. Let's see if it all turns out nicely. I benched Watkins for Darwin. Not so sure about that, Thomas. I'm not going to lie to you. On paper, it makes sense. Darwin should start. Burnley's a good fixture, but benching Watkins? I mean, good luck. I mean, I wouldn't even mind. I mean, would I mind? I just need Watkins to return when I actually have him. He's very frustrating in my case. See you soon, Gara. Thank you very much. Muchacho says, was Neto, Borro, Richarlison and Foden worth a bench boost? It is a good bench on paper. I think you could easily get 15 plus points. And as a result, yes, I think it is worth it. Now, look, it's always difficult to quantify a bench boost because there's always going to be a surprising game week where your bench does very well. And you might look at another week where, oh, I'm going to have so many points on my bench and they all blank. So, look, it's all very difficult to predict, but I think that's a good bench boost. Boxing Day is dull anyway. FPL is more fun. Fair enough, Twisted Parky. And to be fair, the Premier League and FPL make Boxing Day more fun, unless you flop because of the way FPL is. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Enjoy Boxing Day. There will be more videos and live streams to come for FPL. And once we get to it in February, and from February onwards, should I say, there will be UCL fantasy content as well with the deadline streams, team selections, best wildcard team, and limitless videos, of course, from match day 8 onwards. But I wish you all the best of luck for Gameweek 19 and the rest of the season. Like I said, I wish you all the best for the festive period. I hope you enjoy it with your family and friends, and I'll see you next time.